a beat.
Yeah.
Like pause screen music.
It's quality is what it is, right? And Gibbs is a man who recognizes quality, so
Exactly, this man does.
Okay. We're only waiting for Ali. It'll be a light day today in terms of.
it's the camera followed you.
It followed me to smoke, baby.
It followed you towards the smoke.
I was like, no, we're gonna smoke over you off cam, but I guess not now. But it's okay. It's legal here anyway.
Okay, fair.
But not all across the country.
Well, fuck them.
It's a good
They
way.
should talk to their Congress people.
Or move to Canada, where it's legal all across the country.
Yeah.
There's no state. There's like no territories. I guess what you guys call it. There's no territories in Canada that have illegal. It's all legal there.
I don't think so. Although, I mean,
Canada is better.
True.
This could be a spicy one.
Don't forget the Kinder Surprise we have.
And the Kinder Surprise egg, yes. You will always have that point, and it'll always be a good one. I'm genuinely frustrated with my government, so.
I think we should bring back lawn darts.
Yes, lawn darts as well. I don't know what their legal status is in
quite a bit. Do you
Canada.
actually have lawn darts, Gibbs, or are you just saying that?
I don't have them, but I can get some immediately because somebody in my family does have them.
And by that you mean just spears, because that's what they were.
Yeah, listen. That's not much better than what we were doing. It was just like shoot a bow in the air and throw an arrow in the air and then take off running. So,
oh god,
you can buy spears, right? You can buy spears. You just can't buy lawn darts.
But spears are recognizable weapons. People they react to a spear like you would a spear. Lawn darts were advertised as toys, right? They were spears that people were just throwing around with
so mandated to change in the advertising.
No. The real solution is you have the children play lawn darts with spears. That's the only thing.
I agree. I think that actually would toughen us up. Ever since the lawn darts got banned, we've become a nation of pussies. We need to bring the lawn darts back. That's what it was. Y'all thought it was Hammurabi getting killed, the gorilla. No. It was the
what was that word again?
Hammurabi. That's
the Texas way.
I don't know if you're intentionally or unintentionally mispronouncing that.
Yeah, like he was one of the kings of Babylon. They named the gorilla after him. So that's right. And then we shot it.
Are you calling Harambe?
Yeah, Harambe.
That's what he's trying to say. That's why I asked about the pronunciation.
No, he was saying I don't know actually how it's pronounced. Hammurabi.
Harambe.
Is it Harambe?
Not Hammurabi.
It's Hammurabi. Whatever. Fuck, it's going to be Hammurabi. That's not what we done. Listen,
look, I know
him
from Civilization.
Pronounce their names right. Their countries still exist today, but they don't. So fuck them.
Thank you, my listening library YT, saying I can't wait for the show. Music was pretty loud.
Yeah,
that's because just like in the club, right? Like it has to rattle your chest. That's why it's at that
that's
volume.
very bass heavy music. Yeah, I would agree.
Thank you for the kind $2 super chat, though. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. And I think you. Okay, I was gonna say thank you for a person following me on Kick, but it's one of those channel promoter accounts.
Hammer, thank you so much for the thank you.
Well, if he's talking, are you talking to us, Lactoid?
Oh no, I was talking to somebody in my chat. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, it's one of those channel promoter accounts. Like, oh yeah, I think you have a lot of talent here, right? Join up with us. Send money and help promote your channel. Oh well. Okay, fellas. So yeah, like I said before, we're waiting on our friend Ali. And hopefully he'll be here soon. It'll be a tiny group today. While we're waiting, does anyone have something?
Yeah, I bought a shirt for last week that I didn't get to wear, so we're gonna wear it. We're gonna show y'all now.
Okay.
From the panel you ran from.
Well, yeah, the panel I ran from.
Yeah.
With the food, it is done. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what my thoughts on that. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I also got another one that's got Trump dressed like Pancho Villa, and it says El Fato, and he's like bang bang. And then I have one Trump dressed like Suge Knight because we're running this shit like Death Row Records now, boys.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Trump gave us so many good memeable shirts. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
Are they made in America?
Fuck if I know or care.
Exactly what
Yeah.
Trump wanted.
Almost
Shirts
made in-
certainly not.
Hey, listen, I don't care where they're made. I mean, they probably bought.
I know you don't care.
China, and then they probably an American probably put it on the screen press. That's my guess.
No, I mean probably not even that. I mean the products he gets are just straight Chinese made and then shipped to here, right?
Oh, these are from his company. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe it's not. Yeah, maybe it's from another company. Then. Fair enough. But anyway, yeah, fellas, you want to talk?
Check our Discord specifically.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll fix that. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So do we want to figure out something a pre-debate, or we're gonna go just into this thing? What do you guys?
I mean, I got my position in terms of our righteous liberation of Greenland, but that is that's kind of the main subject. I mean, what I guess in the news, yeah. I mean, what do you think about these ICE riots?
These ICE riots?
Yeah.
In Minnesota, I imagine.
In Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
The attacking random people, hey, you're one of them, kind of that thing, kind of like Robespierre.
So I don't think that. Well, okay. So I've heard there was some more stuff happening this weekend, and I haven't followed it. So if there's something new, someone said that. Well, according to our friend Ali, actually sent me something, but I didn't look into it. About some conservative claiming he was attacked by a rabid crowd. And then yeah. Again, I haven't seen the video, so I'm not going to pass judgment. I don't know anything. But like, I think we've seen this before from conservatives, and I think that if we take some time, we'll see that there'll be that there are a lot of agitators who are probably being involved right now. But I can't be sure. Again, that's just my initial thoughts on it, but I actually have no idea.
Okay. I don't think this really gives like the left any points, but I do find it to be a little bit ironic that the guy who it is pretty brutal. Like you see him up against a wall basically, and the crowd drags him down into the crowd. It's pretty horrific, and they hit him with shit, and he's got like a big gash on his head. He had prior been arrested for being involved in January 6th. That guy who was attacked by the mob. There is some the attacking him was super wrong. A little bit of irony there. I just want to say I was like, oh, no way, this guy.
But it's not. But
what about the church?
Back to it.
Isn't that thing that just happened too? A church was attacked.
The church was stormed. Yeah, they like walked into church during service and they were all yelling like, what was it? Say your name, Renee Good. Say your name, Renee Good. And like surrounded the pews. It was pretty weird.
Why that church in particular?
They believe that the pastor was an ICE agent, and that pastor denied being an ICE agent. Instead, he claimed that he was a pastor because he was in a church preaching. But I guess maybe he was.
I mean, you can do both easily.
I guess.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Moonlighting as an ICE agent.
Moonlighting as an ICE agent. I never heard of that, but I guess like
no, moonlighting as a pastor, or like I mean, first of all, how many
in the same city where ICE is deployed? That seems to be pretty convenient.
You mean like they would have moved him, like since he's a federal troop?
Yeah, or he would have been sent somewhere, like some other enforcement at some point, right? I mean, unless he like just signed up. Maybe they have some kind of like program where you just get enforced immigration within the city that you're in. I don't know. Maybe that's.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can't say for sure. But yeah, fair enough. No clue. But you were. Oh yeah. I was gonna say that it's not weird. It's not weird or ironic or anything that a Jan 6 pardonee, I don't know that pardonee, is involved in this, right? Like we've seen, like I think over a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, Jan 6 people who got pardons be rearrested soon after, right? They were released and then they went off to do some other crimes because what do you know? Violent people do violent things, right? Like the right conservatives, always so offended by the left's attempts to do prison reform, talking about, well, now you're going to put these dangerous criminals out on the streets. Okay, well, literally dangerous criminals who we have on tape attacking police officers, another group that conservatives pretend to give a fuck about, right? On tape attacking police officers, you let them out, and then surprise, surprise, they go off and do violent things again. Who could have seen it coming? It would have taken a fortune teller to have done that kind of math. Yeah. So no,
the
it's not
narrative that I've
surprising,
heard
of course.
the narrative I've heard that is I kind of buy it is that those specific people, like they should have been arrested and they should have been in prison, and they were, but some of the sentencing that was like handed out was like pretty high, like pretty crazy, in the sense that like nobody else was getting sentences for those convictions, and anything comparable. So that's what Clinton was for.
I might not be
there, but Trump did a blanket pardon, right? Even his White House was not planning a blanket pardon, right? Like the people in his administration, like, okay, we're going to pardon some people. We're absolutely going to do that, right? But like they were like going through and picking out specific individuals that they were going to target this to. No, he's like, fuck it, I'll just do a blanket pardon, and that was shocking to his White House.
I might not be a fortune teller, but I am a prophet. And I'm gonna give you a prediction right here. I tell you what, here's what I think about those ICE riots. I think that we're gonna uncover more and more nasty fraud-like deceptions by the Dems and their establishment. And what's going to happen is we're going to see links to these NGOs, these donors, and then we're going to see links to the agitators, paid protesters, people like Antifa. I think that's coming. We're going to see the links, and there's going to be illegal action of some sort taken against these groups.
Did he cut out for anybody else?
Yeah.
Anytime you start going for your money, that's when people start fighting. Yeah, anytime you start going for your money, that's when people start trying to come for you. And so guess what? They're all coming for all the fraud and all the money. And guess where all the protests and fighting's happening? Right around the same area. Lo and behold, shocker. Yeah, there's my prediction. The fraud and the money and the system is tied to this group's protesting.
So the more I learn about this, the more I think Nick Shirley was the fraud. And he did the usual right-wing grifting thing about like trying to point out some issue, some sort of rage bait for conservatives, and they took the bait here as well. So that's going to be my position. I'd like to argue it, like if we could maybe do a more of a solid debate on it later on. Gibbs, if that's something you're interested in,
maybe.
Yeah, we could just do another reverie, right? We could just because this ICE thing, this Minnesota thing is going to be ongoing, so we're going to touch on it a few times. But I think Nick Shirley was bullshitting, and I think that there are lots of people.
Did you see his interview on Channel 5 with I think Andrew Callahan? I think his name.
He's had a bunch of interviews, and he's embarrassed himself, and he's he has a weird way of talking, and he sounds like he has like a mental deficiency, but maybe not. It might just be the way he speaks, right? And I don't want to make fun of him for that.
Well, he didn't. Again, I know he's young, but he didn't understand what the word benevolent meant.
Would you make fun of him for a mental deficiency? I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't.
I'll make fun of him for he can do then journalism then, and that he thinks he can.
They can do all sorts of things, Corey. I feel like you're being unnecessarily bigoted towards our.
No, I'm more making he's making dubious claims that is backed up by nothing. I will criticize that no matter what your background is. If you actually think that what in that video is journalism, okay, I was showing up asking where the kids are and in a medical complex and saying, "Hey,
show me the children.
You
I
think
want the children."
You think that's journalism?
I didn't watch the video, and I'm not I'm not really going to defend obviously because I didn't watch it. I'm not going to defend the video. I did watch other reporting on it from journalists from local news stations, and they were doing the same thing like prior to this, going back like either like
Well, his
weeks or
story, from what
months.
I understand, is not even new. As in, like they've been trying to run this type of story multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not that fraud isn't
Yeah, the
happening.
auditors have been trying to run this story,
fraud,
and they've been shut down.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like
Right,
for me, it's not about the credibility of one kid doing an interview. To me, it's like, okay, is the underlying story correct? Is there billions of dollars in fraud in
And there is,
Minnesota?
and there is.
And there seems to be, and there's like a whole bunch of shit that that you can dig into, right? Feeding Our Future,
Yeah, substantial amounts.
you know,
It's billions
statements
of
from
dollars.
lawmakers, you know, Omar Fatah, I forget his name, another guy from the city council, that were basically trying to shift attention away from the investigation into this fraud by claiming it was racism. I mean, there is meat here that goes beyond, you know, maybe the embellishment of some kid doing a documentary.
Hold on, but that's
You're
important,
conflating
though.
claims. Those are, from what I understand, those like somewhat separate.
He was just like
claims.
he's just like the starting. He's just like the like ember that started the fire. Yeah, he might not have had 100% of the facts right, but
I
like
believe the
whenever
Biden
they started diving
administration like
hold on,
actually
when
convicted.
when they start
people
diving in, we're seeing, oh, okay, well, hey, this is actually one that's whatever. One of the ones that people were saying wasn't a fraud thing and like blasting Nick Shirley on. Guess what? They just went in there and arrested everybody that worked there, and they've already pled guilty. And that was one of the ones that a few weeks ago the Dems were like, oh, this is one of the ones Shirley went to. Look, they actually have kids here, and now they're being arrested. So it's like, okay, what is it? Some of this stuff might not be 100% accurate.
Is there some article showing they're arrested?
Yeah.
Which one that appeared in the video that they're now arrested?
Which was the main one?
Thanks
for the
raid. Thanks for the raid, Wick. But sorry, go. Didn't mean to interrupt.
It was the
Wickers.
Yeah. Hope you guys are doing well. Hit the follow button. You haven't done so before. Yeah. So my problem is it's to Lactoid while Gibbs is looking for that article. My problem is the framing. The framing matters, right? Like, and so like it's not that there wasn't fraud. In fact, there was fraud, and the Democrats who are being accused of hiding the fraud were actually investigating the fraud, right? And we're getting convictions for the fraud. That was already happening, right? It's the way it was put forth, right? That like this is a Somali problem, right? This is something with this community, right? And something Gibbs repeated that Somalis specifically, and of course Trump, right? Repeat, it's Somalis who are ripping us off. Somalis are involved. There are Somalis, but there's just lots of fraud happening there, right? It's a poorly run
disproportionate Somalis in this scandal.
And
they're just good at it doing it. All right, that's all. That's what the issue is.
It's like 90% or something around those.
Well, they're just better at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the federal, those federal, the Biden's DOJ they're referencing those arrests, like 90% of them or something are Somalis, and you're not wrong. I wouldn't actually even blame the Biden administration here. You can blame state level Democrats though in Minnesota that were carrying water, whether they knew or they didn't know, but they were carrying water for the fraudsters. Like, so for example, when those investigations were happening by the DOJ, and then even some internal investigations as early as 2019 by the Minnesota Department of Education, those were shut down by a mix of a lawsuit brought by organizations like Feeding Our Future, and then there was a public pressure campaign launched by the fraudsters, and Omar Fatah, who's like a relative, like he, you know, kind of like a
did he run for mayor? Is that the one?
Yeah, he ran for did he run for mayor? He ran for some big public office recently.
Yeah,
and then so he I'll have to find my notes on this, but he said that the investigations were basically bigotry against immigration, or sorry, against immigrants. There was another city council member who said it was just racist targeting. You know, they were making very explicit statements, and then you look into it, and it's like, okay, so this part of this public pressure campaign was being latched onto by these politicians at the state level. That's where I think you can lay some blame. Federal, that's where you lose me, because there's really not. I haven't seen any chain linking this to the Biden administration or Kamala or even Tim Walz, honestly.
I agree. There seems to be some
but to frame it like the Dems are like trying to cover it up. Well, I'm pretty sure Biden was a part of the Dems and pretty high up in the Democratic establishment, last I checked.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I don't think, again, Biden is going to be a tougher sell. I think the allegation against Tim Walz, though, is like failure to act. That there should have been more action taken when you are the governor and the Minnesota Department of Education is under you and you appoint the people that run it. There needs to be more action by you to make it clear that this fraud is being investigated, and this is a major issue. And I don't think it's a coincidence that as this became a national story, oh, he's not running for re-election, right? I mean, here's a guy who was just running as the vice president. I mean, clearly he has future political aspirations, but now he's just done.
He directly linked this story to why he wasn't running. That was not like a secret or anything. He specifically said, "Hey, like this is a distraction, and I'd rather be focused on using my remaining time in office to serve the people of Minnesota."
Yeah, he knows it's bad.
While this happened,
yeah, he knows it's bad then. He wouldn't resign if that wasn't the case. He knows it's bad. He knows that he fucked up.
He might. I'm not exactly sure what his either complicity or
I would say negligence.
I don't know what the fuck up is, because all of these like daycares, all of these daycares were investigated, and they had like tons of violations against them that they wouldn't have had violations against. Wait, they had tons of violations against them that they wouldn't have had if they didn't have kids in those environments, right? I'm not saying that these daycares were good. I'm not saying that these daycares, like a lot of them, didn't have fraud, and I'm not saying that like I'm just saying that like a lot of the ones that they were talking about seem to either like they discontinued in 2024 and then they reestablished under a different name in like 2025. It was a lot of dumb shit. I'm not going to sit here and say that that it wasn't, but to say that like Democrats were complicit, I think rather what happened was okay, so like in Dearborn, I know that we have Access, right, which is it's like a group you go to, and if you're an immigrant, if you can't read, they help you fill out papers, they help you find a lawyer, so on and so forth. And I'm thinking maybe that's probably what happened in Minnesota, is that these daycares went to like these kind of local organizations that would help people maybe skirt the fraud, skirt the like the investigations. Hey, if you just shut down under this name and open under, I think it was more of that. I don't think it was like Democrats. I don't think it was Tim Waltz. I don't think it was anything like that.
No, there's two auditors reports from the state auditing office. There's within the state of Minnesota, they have a government branch which is tasked with auditing other government branches to see if they do bad shit. There's two reports that were very critical of the MDE, which is the Minnesota Department of Education. I can send you those reports. You're right that these daycare centers, even the one, for example, the
Leering.
The Leering Center, the one that everybody was memeing on, that one actually has a pretty significant history of pretty bad complaints, like unsafe conditions for the children. But
yeah, there's citations, but that's different than fraud claims, right?
Well, you're right, but in the 2019 auditor's report, there is one of the claims that's made by the auditor's office is that there's too few kids. Like they're claiming more kids than they have. Like, so the allegation isn't that there's no kids, it's that there's fewer kids in some situations, or there's more kids in other situations. They're very bad at like actually giving the correct number of children that they're actually looking after, which is immediately a safety problem, if not straight up fraud. Now, I know that maybe the assumption can be, well, maybe they're just terrible at paperwork and they're terrible at reporting the correct number of kids, and they're either consistently overcounting it or consistently undercounting it in certain circumstances. That, I mean, I can't disprove that one way or another, but it certainly smells fishy when you do have these organizations that are miscounting kids, and especially if you're undercounting, or sorry, even if you're overcounting and thus getting more money than you're entitled to.
Do you know the direction? As in, there's some sort of pattern, because that's a dubious. Like, because I'll plead ignorance. I have no idea in terms of like, I'm sure they're tracking kids, but what is the window between the time they have to update it?
Well, no. So this was remember there was specific organizations that were found guilty of fraud, and like a lot of people were arrested. It's like over I think close to 100 now. A lot of that fraud has to do with misrepresenting, obviously, specific like that. What is the term? Qualifications for funding to the MDE, which is the Minnesota Department of Education. And so, and I'll bring up, it's been a couple of weeks since I debated this, but I'll bring up the two reports and I'll send them to you if you're interested. But in both situations, the auditor's office was critical of the MDE. And the later one in 2022 was very critical of the Department of Education, saying that the Department of Education should have done more, and that part of the reason they didn't do more is because they were afraid of being called racist, which is an unacceptable reason to not do more. And so when the Minnesota Department of Education is being found negligent by the state auditor's office, and the Minnesota Department of Education is under Tim Walz, that's an immediate, claim of negligence against Tim Walz. You can say, well, this is a scandal. Go fuck yourself. But sure. I also think that the 2019 auditor's report is saying, hey, we're having some issues here of these organizations consistently undercounting, overcounting, these organizations like misrepresenting numbers when it comes to getting reimbursement. I think that also raises a bunch of red flags that indicated, hey, maybe more effort should have been done to investigate this, which then they didn't do, which the later auditor's report states. Like it's just a big mess.
We'll let Gibbs in. I just want to read the super chat quickly. Thank you, my listening library YouTube for $5. He says, or they say, excuse me, I'm not against investigating and charging Dems, but this is being used as a hate campaign against immigrants. I agree with you there. That's my problem. Like, hey, like if you want to say that the Democrats are fucking frauds, that Democrats need to be arrested, well, you won't get any pushback from me. Not a fan. But like I'm saying, the problem is the framing. Oh, it's Somalis are a problem. This is like this is indicative of like their wider of the wider community. This is a Somali problem. Yes, there are Somalis involved, indeed, right? But that doesn't mean that. But to frame it as, I mean, like the wider fraud in the United States is done by white men, right? White collar fraud, right? White men do that. But we don't frame it as, this is a white man.
Per capita crime. Per capita.
No, literally per capita.
You got to remember, per capita, the Somalis are doing it more. So,
hold on. In America, we don't have it down by sub-ethnic group. We just don't have it by race. In the European countries where they do keep track of that, Somalians are consistently overrepresented in crime. But we don't have that data.
I'll find that other article later. But this is another one that I was looking for.
Mario, another tweet. Okay.
Yeah, another tweet. Well, this one, I there's a source on there. It gives the source, New York Post. You can just Google the Brooklyn Scramblers thing. I think I have that source here as well. But they basically, these people admit it. We're seeing the problem is this is just it's layers, right? We're seeing places like
this is in Brooklyn, from what I understand. At least it says Brooklyn daycare.
That one is in Brooklyn, right? Yeah, so we're seeing like the layers, right? We're finding this in one state. Now we're looking at other states. We're seeing this same exact scheme popping up in several different states, right? Then we're seeing things like, from the audit reports from like this is like from C-SPAN. You can look this one up. They literally in the interviews, they're sitting here giving auditing reports, and they're saying, we can track these daycares, which have the money going to fraud, giving money back to the Democratic Party and voting in those candidates, right? So basically, what we're seeing is fraud goes here, then giving candidates money, and y'all are going, nothing here, nothing.
Yeah, hold on.
And we're just seeing this ever expanding. Now they're talking about trucking fraud. Now they're talking about all this other stuff. They're finding all sorts of different stuff, and y'all are just going, none of this is happening.
No, Gibbs, hold on, Gibbs. None of us here are saying, right? None of us have said that this isn't happening, right? We said specifically, I started this conversation saying specifically, fraud is happening. Right? It's just like how
y'all are going. The white people. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. Listen, we're founding.
I have not mentioned white people
being fraud. The Somalis shouldn't be able to do fraud.
We're seeing this shit right now, bro. It's the size. It's Michigan. It's literally getting more GDP than the entire country of Somalia is leaving our shores due to fraud.
Okay. Who cares? I don't care about that. I don't care about immigrants sending money back to their home country. That's what immigrants have done. The entire time,
all these
any immigrant anywhere, at least any old country, will send your money back to the old country. That's nonsense. So we're gonna.
What about these foreign banks where your money
matters here? What matters here?
You let me in.
What matters here? Hold on. What matters here? What matters here is how we react to these things, right?
Because reacting is hold on.
Let me make my point. Make a respond to it.
You know my point.
I'd let you make your point. What are you talking about?
I wasn't finished
the entire time.
I literally made like 10 seconds in, and you stopped me halfway through my point. Okay. And my point is, you're sitting here crying about the white people's fraud, crying about us. Listen, I'll give you an example. Say the Hells Angels. They're a bad white person organization, right? Evil, terrible people, right? And they decide they're going to open up a bar. and they're gonna sell drugs out of the bar, and they're gonna sell all this shit, right? Well, guess what they're doing? Well, they still need a POS system, so they still hire American people to go put the POS system in. They still need electricians to build the electricity in the bar. They still need Americans to build the bar, so they build it. All this money that they got from ill-gotten gains, at least to stay in America.
Oh,
what
the Somalis didn't use American electricians.
They're taking the money and they're sending it overseas.
Did the Somalis not use American electricians?
Is staying here, God.
Did the Somalis not use American electricians?
2024, not 2022, which makes it even worse for Minnesota.
But hold on, it's twofold. Is the other problem? This is like a double fuckery for people like me, because I don't want my going money to welfare, and then I see it's going to welfare programs, and then not only am I seeing it's going to welfare programs, it's going to welfare programs that are being stolen, and then the answer to this problem is not enough people are still not getting enough welfare, is to send more money, and then more money stolen, and it's a feedback loop, and y'all go, Gibbs, not a problem. And
so once again, stop straw manning us, right? Because no one said here it's not a no.
Y'all are saying that. Y'all are like y'all are brushing it under the rug.
No one is doing that, Gibbs.
Yeah, y'all are saying it's not that big.
I'm treating it like the fraud that happens in this country. You have the other fraud that happens in this country. I'm like,
So on that note, right, we were talking about and this is the type of fraud my friend Lactoid approves of in secret, right? Is tax evasion, right? Tax evasion happens all the time. Who are the people likely to do tax evasion? Well, they happen to be extremely wealthy individuals. And these extremely wealthy individuals happen to be white, right? And where does that money go, right? The money that they aren't
overseas.
And the money
I don't know.
It does go. One second, hold on, let me finish. That money that they don't necessarily send, yes, I mean, it can go overseas, but their savings also go into the Republican Party and the Democrats, honestly, at the same time. But to our political system to bribe our politicians for further tax cuts.
Yeah, but those are individual people. This is institutionalized by a party of the government. You see the issue? Hold on. It's totally different. This is a big distinction.
You're not going to finish. No, corporations, right? Like Apple, famously, like any of the big tech corporations, sent their fucking money to Ireland, right? They put it in
but that's not the government. The Democrats are part of the government.
Hold on. They let it sit in Ireland. Right, they let it sit in Ireland, and then they refused to bring it back until after bribing the politicians with the money that they saved. Right, after they bribed the politicians, they got a tax holiday. I think that was under Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're right. That's bad. I agree. Okay, all what you're saying is bad. But what country is Apple?
I'm just saying.
What country is Apple?
I'm saying.
Is Apple a country?
I don't care. I don't care about what country.
I know.
To sit in.
No. This is the point, Brian. This is the big issue that you're missing. No. This is the problem you're missing. This is what you're missing, though. This
Apple
is the big disconnect between people. Apple's not a country, right? Is Walmart a country? No, Walmart's not a country. Is Exxon a country? No. Hold on. Exxon's not a country, is it? Right? No. Right? Yeah, they're not. We have Exxon. They don't have anybody
Minnesota
in
daycare
office.
Is a company.
Hold on. Oh, I'm going to get to that. Hold on. Is Exxon have anybody that's Exxon's representative in Congress? No, they might have some people they lobby, but they don't have.
Yeah, they have their representatives. They pay them very well.
Well, they don't have anybody. There's nobody that's officially. Find me one person.
It doesn't matter if it's official.
There's no one that's officially the representative.
Exactly.
Hold on. No, this is a key thing. It's there's no single person that I'm officially Exxon's rep in Congress. I get one vote, and it's as Exxon. There's not a person. There's people they lobby. Now, here's the big difference: is the Democrats are official seat holders. Right? They're seat holders all the way up from the lowest level of local all the way up to the national level. So they're sitting there working in the institutions. Now, the issue is not only are they the government because they're the county clerk, they're the judge, they're the attorney general, they're the governor. This what they've done is they put a system in place where they take government taxpayer dollars and feed it back through the system into their campaign funds. That is
you haven't proven that claim ever.
Hold on. That is different. Well, it's being proved now. We're seeing it being alleged all over the place. A million.
I agree. Alleged.
Hold on. There's more evidence for this than any of the alleged crimes of Trump, right? So we're seeing this all over the place. And when we're seeing
hold on, let me finish.
I'm almost done. And when I'm almost done. And the biggest issue here is that it is a sanctioned party member versus what y'all are trying to compare this to is like, I don't know, let's pick Bernie Madoff, the biggest white collar crime in history. Bernie Madoff never was part of the government. We have institutionalized government corruption, and y'all are going, going, oh, but what about over here? That's not government.
Yeah, hold on.
Listen,
I'm talking about
we
government.
need to not have government. We can't fix none of the other corruption like that. While the government is just as corrupt, we have to handle the government corruption
I did
first.
mention government corruption just now. That's the example I gave, right?
Yeah, but that's not the same as institutionalized corruption. That's
no, it is institutionalized government. It's like literally members
not
of
the
Congress,
scale.
right? Like
one's a tax write-off, the other one is they're literally taking a feedback loop of money.
Operates, right? How the Republican Party operates, being focused on tax cuts for the rich, right? And who
a cut is not corruption. A cut is not corruption.
Campaign coffers, those same rich
how they
people
get funded
more
to do
tax
those
cuts. That's the corruption.
Hold on.
Right there.
That's
what are you talking about?
That's totally different. Hold on, that's totally different. If
that's different. No,
hold on.
That's
if I get voted in from a city as an independent or a Republican or a Democrat, and then I go and vote, and I say, hey, these guys spend a lot of money on my campaign. I'm going to put forth legislation that's going to benefit this company or these people or this city. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. This is the difference, though. If I put forth legislation that's going to give them legal tax cuts that people can vote on, and other people across the nation vote to give them. Hold on. If they vote to give them the tax cuts and it's legal, that's fine. What's happening here is not legal. They are sitting here saying we're doing one thing, and then they defraud.
They bribe them to make it legal.
Listen, you can try to pretend because you don't like capitalism that it's the same, but it's not. It's not. I'm sorry.
I think the Somalis love capitalism.
We all have education hard.
This is not an anti-capitalist
argument. It is an anti-capitalist argument because you're trying to say institutionalized government corruption is the same as Walmart no tax crunch, which
isn't a cap. I wasn't talking about capitalism at all. Not at all.
It is your capitalism brand.
I'm talking about corruption.
Okay. Yeah, you're arguing that a tax cut is equivalent to literal corruption. It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry, Ali. I've been talking over.
I mean, I don't really want to get in. It's just like I don't see the difference. Corruption is corruption. If you use your money and hold on, wait. What's the country that's doing the fraud in Minnesota? Right? They're defrauding Democrats in Minnesota, right? No, because he kept saying, is what's it called? The country? Is this a country? Okay. All I'm saying is all fraud is bad. All fraud ends up with money in offshore bank accounts or like in money in other countries, and all money is used to all this money is used to bribe the politicians and so on and so forth. It's just yes, the fraud is bad. But to sit here and focus, say that Somali fraud is this different, vastly crazy thing. It's no, it's kind of an American thing to come and try to fraud the government. And if they were just smart enough to take 10% off the top, they'd be fine. But they were just going fucking hard. That's all. That's really all.
But it's the lies. We've been told nobody was getting. We were told illegals aren't getting health care. We were told the illegals couldn't vote. Nevada just confirmed 42,000 of them voted, or something like that. We're just sitting here. We're going,
I'd like to see. Give me that one. Just give me that article.
92,000 illegal immigrants voted.
Can I read something?
How did they figure this out?
I want to read something real
quick. They found there's 42,000 duplicate votes or something like that. They found other votes, all sorts of things. We're finding fraud. We're finding fraud all over the place. Hold on. We're finding fraud all over the place.
Yes, there's fraud everywhere for sure.
Hold on. But this is what I was told. This is what I was told for years. I was told illegals don't vote. We're finding examples of illegals vote. I was told there was no fraud. There's no welfare going to illegals. Now we're finding out welfare was going to illegals. And now we're sitting here going, oh, well, why are they protesting so hard when we're trying to catch these people? Oh, well, maybe it's because they're in cahoots and they institutionalize the fraud. And y'all are going, it's racist. It's ridiculous.
There are programs for immigrants to get some sort of benefits, which I support. But
illegal
those things exist. Yeah. Illegal immigrants. Yeah, exactly. Illegal.
Yeah, and that's fraud. I'll pronounce it because we were told there was none of that happening.
You mean actual Americans?
Single syllable. Illegal.
Yeah, but Prime. Yes. But the Democratic Party told us that was not happening. Hold on, Prime. The Democratic Party told us. You have to admit
they want to be Americans.
They told us that wasn't happening for years. I can literally just Google.
It depends on what you're talking about. It depends on which systems you're talking about. Some they have access. They don't have access to all of them. So it depends what you're talking about. They're state level programs where you can get access to care, which they should. Absolutely, I support it. Sorry, Lad, you were going to say something?
Yeah, so in the group chat, and I'll post this in the Twitch chat as well. So it's 2019 and 2024 State Auditors Report in Minnesota, and there's a couple things here that I think are important. mean, the first thing is in 2024, you still have the auditor's report condemning the MDE and stating that they failed to properly conduct investigation into Feeding Our Future, which is kind of the central, I think, organization that's responsible for a lot of the fraud that we've been talking about in Minnesota as of late. But this is a consistent problem in Minnesota. So back in the 2019 auditor's report, for example, I'm going to read this quote. This is from the CCAP Investigations Unit. CCAP, this is the government organization that provides the money. The CCAP Investigations Unit wrote the following. The manager of the unit wrote the following in an August 24, 2018 email. Investigators in this unit do not believe, despite the number of cases investigated thus far, that any real progress has been made regarding CCAP fraud. Investigators believe the current internal controls and statutes are not stringent enough to make reasonable progress in reducing the level of fraud in this program. Investigators regularly see fraudulent child care centers open faster than they can close the existing ones down. Investigators believe drastic action on several fronts, legislative as well as policy, are needed to make progress in this area, not only to reduce the significant waste of taxpayer dollars involved in this program, but to attempt to provide a reasonably effective preschool education for this high-risk group of children. And this is back in 2018 that they're complaining about the frequency of child care CCAP fraud. Specifically, and this is also, I posted a screenshot as well. So what they would often do is they would recruit parents as child care center employees with the condition that they enrolled their child in a child care assistance program, CCAP, to ensure public funds revenue for the business. The scheme ends with exploiting 4 sets of victims: the children, the parents, those in the child care assistance program waiting list, and taxpayers. So CCAP is explaining how this is happening, which is these fraudulent daycare centers. They're saying that it's happening, they're literally opening faster than they can close the fraudulent ones down, saying that there's a shit ton of fraud happening. And this is in 2018, and this is continuing on into 2024, with the auditor's report still condemning the failure of Minnesota to properly grasp fraud. So is there any evidence here that demonstrates that the state government of Minnesota is like in cahoots, that Tim Walz is in cahoots in it? No, but there is consistent systemic failures in the state of Minnesota to properly address the issue. And this is why this is a scandal for Tim Walz. This is why it looks so bad for him, because he didn't do shit. He's ineffective as a governor. He couldn't solve this problem after years. Point blank. Millions and millions of dollars of fraud. Probably
didn't
maybe
he call
more
the
than that
FBI
now.
for that reason?
What?
Yeah, but like this
wasn't there people were complaining that he called in the FBI. It's like it's not a federal issue, but they were also getting federal loans, so the FBI was also doing investigations as well.
The Fed stepped in 2019, and they were doing an investigation. Now, Feeding Our Future launched basically a public relations campaign as well as a lawsuit to try to stop the investigation, which was successful for a period of time because their funding was frozen, but then a judge unfroze it, and they also got city council support, at least from one vocal member who was a Democrat, as well as Omar Fattah, a state senator, that were pushing hard for, hey, any criticism of this process is racism. It's attacking our
but what's wait? So is that investigation? Did that investigation not continue? Did the FBI stop doing the investigation because it claims racism?
So it was no. They kept getting funding as the investigation proceeded, and then it was undeniable. I forget the exact date, but it was undeniable at a point where holy shit ton of this is fraud. And then they did stop the funding for like Feeding Our Future and a couple other organizations. But remember, it's not just
okay. So then he was successful.
No, he wasn't.
But
this went on for how many years? Not only for Feeding Our Future, this went on for how many years without him doing anything about it, which the state auditor's report criticizes him for. Right? They are saying that he didn't do enough, but as early as 2018, this is a well-known fraud. It is a well-known fraud for people to open up
when did he call in the FBI to do this?
But hold on,
I don't know if he called in the FBI.
What can he do? What's in his power? 1 second, Gibbs. Let me just have this back and forth with Lactwood, and I promise you can talk. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
So he's responsible.
I like it.
Sure, he's responsible for the Minnesota Department of Education. As governor, he directly oversees the people who are in charge of the Minnesota Department of Education. The State Auditor's Office specifically found that the Minnesota Department of Education did not effectively exercise its authority to hold Feeding Our Future accountable to program requirements. So he was in charge of an agency. That agency was ineffective and didn't do their job.
But then, okay, so then who called in the FBI to do the investigations? Because I thought if not the governor of the state,
the federal thing is different. Like I said, I don't think there's too much meat here to go after Biden. There's a lot of meat to go after Tim Walz.
I'm not saying no. I'm saying that Tim Walz. I mean, who else other than Tim Walz or someone in his administration would have then called the FBI if they were?
The Attorney General. That's what I keep trying to say. Well, this is what I keep trying to bring up. The Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, is on tape with an unidentified person that they say is an alleged fraudster, right? And this is the tape. This is what it says. In the recording, unidentified male says, and a person of interest says, to protect and keep what we have, and the only way we can protect what we have is by inserting ourselves into the political arena, putting our votes where it needs to be. But most importantly, putting our dollars in the right place and supporting candidates will fight for extra interest. And then Attorney General Keith Ellison replies, that's right. In the right would be an agreement to that statement, which is that sounds like exactly hold on. It gets worse. It gets worse. Then we have auditor. What's his name? Here we go. We'll find it. He is named Eric Grumball, a former assistant who had brought evidence of fraud several times up before and was set to testify before Congress, was fired literally 3 days before, and alleges he was intimidated by members of the government to not testify before Congress. So it seems like with all this going down, and then we have the Ilhan Omar's husband stuff and how he went from a $50,000 a year to like suddenly being multi-million dollars a year with a 17,000 or 170% rate against the market, which is unheard of compared to anybody else. So he's suddenly doing better. So we have all this little nasty egg, and then you have Governor Walz is their candidate. So we have two options, Ollie. It's either weaponized ineptitude to where they're just looking the other way and they just don't care, which is bad, or they're in cahoots and they're using the fraud to keep the people they want in power. And that is subverting the American system.
Now tell me what the difference between that fraud and keeping those people in power just because it's Democrats and what Prime was saying about keeping, Republicans in power and getting lowering their taxes. What's the difference there?
This is easy. This is easy. Real simple. Yeah. Okay, say I run an actual daycare. Okay, right? And it's not fraudulent. Okay. Now, instead of going and applying for a program that's going to give me and 10 other daycares, like, I don't know, money, and then not have kids, and these other ones are just not going to have kids, or like signing up and then donating to Dems and making my money by subverting the system and not having kids, not actually doing the work, not actually helping the community, and just stealing from the government and then using that money to give it back to the donors, versus what I'm going to propose here, which is say if I'm a daycare and I'm actually having the kids, I like John, the Democrat, or John, the Republican, who says, hey, I think I want to build a daycare not the comparison. Industry. Hold on. And I want to build because this is what's happening is I want to build a daycare, and we're going to build a daycare industry here. And they're going to, by doing that, they're going to give a tax cut to people that do this. And so, hey, we're going to sit here, we're going to influence the market in our area, which I also think maybe is not good, but at least they're moving government control away. And so instead of the government coming in and regulating the market, they're removing the governmental control. And I'm going to be like, have more money because I don't have to pay taxes, which stimulates the industry. And I can give money to the candidate that is stimulating the economy, as opposed to, set up a fake daycare, take money from the government, feed it back to my candidate, and just ensure that we're all getting rich that way. That's the difference. You understand the difference? But one's a legitimate business that's benefiting, the other is literally fraud.
To back up Gibbs a little bit on one point that he made, like when this fraud for Feeding Our Future came out, like in terms of like that conviction, the charges started getting filed, and shit started getting serious. Like Feeding Our Future had donated some money to these politicians, these Democrat politicians within Minnesota, and they gave the money back. I mean, to their credit, they were like, "Oh, this is awful. So we were fooled just as well as you guys were. We're going to give the money back." But the question arises is like, well, how much of other fundings, how much other funding is from yet to be discovered fraud that we don't know about? That's a real concern.
Exactly.
Right. It was yes, it was discovered here, and they did the right thing and gave it back. And I'm not even saying if they accepted fraudulent dollars without knowing if they even be responsible necessarily. But it does, I think, pose a weird question as to, are fraudsters a hidden political voting block or money block that we just aren't really recognizing as
well,
much
look at the
as we should?
trucking fraud.
Hold on, hold on,
90
sorry.
companies, 70 aren't real.
I want to now. I want to jump in, right? Oh, hidden. You're asking our friend Lactoid whether fraudsters like a hidden voting block, right? So or a political donating block at the very least, right? So let's go to our next super chat from my listening library, who says Trump has pardoned at least 3 people charged with fraud, and one of those twice. One of them got reconvicted for fraud after he was pardoned. Yes, actually, this is the case. So from a New York, thank you for that. From a New York Times article, and I had this one already previously. Thank you for beating me to the punch there. But Donald Trump has continued his pardoning spree. Has been doing the entire time, right? And his latest round of pardons include a brother, I believe it's a brother and sister, brother and sister tag team, who were convicted for fraud under his first term. He pardoned them then, and then they left, right, and they began another scheme, right, another fraud scheme. Who were convicted again by federal prosecutors, and then he pardoned them again. Right, the people, those the brothers and sisters, they to get those pardons, they hired 2 lawyers who were within Trump's orbits. One of them was this deputy White House legal counsel, right? And all of a sudden, hey, they got a pardon. And then another one. This was this is a separate case, right? This was involving the governor of Puerto Rico and fraud happening there. But like the daughter of one of the people involved, right? Well, in late 2024, Mr. Harrow, one of the people involved, right? While Mr. Harrow was facing felony bribery and other charges in the case, his daughter, Isabella Harrow, donated $2.5 million to MAGA Incorporated, a super PAC devoted to Mr. Trump and run by his allies. She and then in July, Ms. Harrow donated another $1 million to MAGA Incorporated. She did not respond for a request for comment. She donates this money, and then surprise, surprise, we get another pardon. Right, we've seen this many times. He pardons people that puts money in his pockets or the pockets of his allies. This is what he's doing, right? And then we're talking about like fraud here. We're talking about corruption, as if this isn't a thing that happens all the goddamn time, right? Like now, again, screw the people who are doing fraud in these cases, right? Like be them Somalis, be them white individuals, right? Anyone who I don't care what your background is. If you're engaging in fraud, if you're engaging in corruption, right? Let's put you in jail. I am for that all the way. But let's not pretend that this Trump administration talking about the Somalis are defrauding our country. He literally lets out fraudsters who pay him, who put money in his pocket. Let's not beat around this bullshit. I won't accept it ever, especially not from this president. But sorry, go ahead. Anyone else?
It'd be Lactoid or Gibbs that would have.
I've just read so I'm thinking the 2 fraudsters. I don't. There 3 that were alleged. They were convicted. Okay, at least 3 people with fraud, and one of those. So one of them, I'm looking right here. Are we talking about Adriana Camberos and Andres Camberos?
Those are the brother and sister duo. And then separately, there's the governor situation.
Yeah. So I will look into why he pardoned them. So what I'm reading here is that the fraud they committed was that manufacturers of groceries, so I guess growers, were they were selling cheaper food to Mexico than they were America. There was like an upcharge they would sell to Americans. And so what they did was they said, oh, we're not going to sell it to Americans. We're going to sell it to Mexicans. So they got the discounts. And then they would sell it to Americans. And so that was the fraud that they lied.
Well, the
and
original
said they were
fraud
sell it
was they were
Mexicans.
selling there was 2 frauds. So that's this. Well, I don't know if the second one counts as fraud. That might be something else. I'm not sure, right? But the original
what I just read is fraud.
Yeah, it sounds totally the same as the
well, then
Democratic Party
that counts as fraud,
billions of dollars of fraud
sorry, to be clear,
through a system where they funnel
sorry, whatever. So I would just ask. So I'm unsure. So thank you for clearing that up. The thing I was pointing to originally, the original scheme, right? They were selling counterfeit bottles of a 5-hour energy drink.
Yeah, that's the
right?
new one.
No, that's the old one.
Oh,
December 2019. Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah. It's at the start of the article.
Oh, yeah. So that one came first, and then the wholesale groceries thing came separately.
Yeah.
Both of them involve them saying, and Rihanna saying, "Hey, we're gonna sell these in Mexico," and they actually sold them in the U.S. instead. This one I think is worse because it said they were selling counterfeit labels and filled the bottles with a phony liquid before selling them. My guess is fake 5-hour energy. The 2024 one though. I mean, I guess technically it's fraud. Technically.
Man, we're just down. Just fuck it. If it's if it's this kind of fraud, we're okay. But if it's the other kind of fraud,
I'm gonna say this. All fraud. Fraud is bad. But like, if we're talking about,
but there's a scale now, right?
Yeah,
now
I think there is. It does matter, right?
Yeah.
On one hand, you have people defrauding U.S. taxpayer for like money, and on the other hand, you have people to avoid paying higher pricing that food manufacturers will charge for selling the food in Mexico, like for selling food in America. They were instead lying and saying, no, we're going to sell it in Mexico, and then instead they went and sold it in America. Which, I mean, from an American first perspective, why would we want organizations to be able to sell food to Americans at higher pricing? Why shouldn't we demand that they sell food to us at the same prices that Mexicans pay?
I thought it was an upcharge to Americans.
No, it was an upcharge from what they would charge Mexicans. So they were selling it. So yeah, you're right that they weren't. They weren't selling it. I guess either at a discount or as much of a discount as they could have done. They were keeping money, but the fraud is that they were selling it to Americans instead of selling it to Mexicans.
They were scamming Americans out of the money.
But there's a key difference here.
They weren't scamming Americans.
It was an anti-American first scam because Americans are paying more. My understanding.
They're scamming.
You're understanding. You're understanding, Prime. So these these manufacturers, if you're going to sell the food to Mexicans, they will give you a discount, right?
Okay.
And so the fraud is, okay, we're going to tell them that we're going to sell the food to Mexicans, and then we're going to sell it to Americans at the regular rate, right? And so the fraud is they're collecting the discounts from these manufacturers by saying they're selling it to Mexicans when in reality they're selling it to Americans. To me, so it's fraud, but it's the only people that are losing out on money are the food manufacturers because they aren't getting as much of a like a profit margin that they get from selling the food to an American pricing.
That's a contract, right? That's actual fraud.
Yeah, I know. There's a reason they were convicted, of course.
Exactly.
This is my issue.
But I mean, on the scale of defrauding the taxpayers
there's
a scale.
It's great. Now,
scale. This is
don't worry. There's more fraud here. There's more fraud he has pardoned than just this, right? There's a whole list of things.
No. It's not the scale that's the problem. Okay, let me see if we can try the disconnect. Okay, let me try to explain why I'm struggling with the disconnect here. Because you should be mad about this too, right? Like I'm really confused as why you're not mad about this. Actually,
we are.
It's a lot of dims.
We are.
I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna explain why. Hold on. Let me finish. I'm just gonna explain what the disconnect is.
We're just consistent.
Then y'all can. No, you're not consistent. That's the problem.
We are.
You can explain. Let me just finish here.
Let him go. Let him go.
Right. So like, I don't know why I was doing this, but listen. So here's the thing.
Because every time you move your hands, it zooms.
Well, it's because you keep fucking stop. Anyway, listen. So
we got
Lactoid. Jesus Christ!
Let him go. Let our friend.
So we got Lactoid over here going. It's the scale. It's not the scale. It's what it is, right? So you just described this whole situation where they defrauded the government. Let's just say it was the actual Prime situation, and they bamboozled Americans for somebody. Okay, cool. They bamboozled them, and 500K Americans got bamboozled, and then that fraudster donated money to the Trump campaign. Okay, that's bad. I agree, that's bad. And yeah, we can talk about the scale. There is a difference between a private citizen stealing from other private citizens and then using their ill-gotten gains to try to like put somebody they like in office for whatever reason. That's bad. And I agree that's bad. And it's just as bad. And I'll even go one step further. I'll agree that I almost think that's the same as a lobbyist. Like, I don't really see a fundamental difference between that and a company doing legitimate work and then paying a lobbyist to go put their interest. They're both bad. I think it'd be better if we had that out. Now, here's the difference. And this is the key part, is the other one is we have actual sitting Congress members and actual people that are sitting throughout the government at different levels, and they are getting elected because they are sitting there setting up a fraud scheme within the government.
Lacto, did you back that up? Are you on Gibbs'
that
page?
Gives money.
This is funneling money to the Democrats
and the other people, and then they turn around and donate those ill-gotten gains.
Are you even
that they
listening to
would
what he's
not
saying?
have already
No,
gotten.
So just to be clear,
not have otherwise gotten.
Gibbs is partially correct here, because we know for a fact that Feeding Our Future was donating money to politicians like Omar Fatah and certain members.
No, but he said Gibbs claims I think it's billions.
Yeah, so hold on.
Billions.
Just to be clear,
right now.
Yeah, we have.
I don't know it's all going there, but a lot of it.
Millions. We don't know the amount of money. We have, I guess, the amount that Feeding Our Future was giving these politicians. We don't know how many millions of dollars is going to politicians from the fraudsters. We also don't know the full extent of the Minnesota fraud. So Gibbs is correct that there likely is
billions.
I don't feel confident calling it billions, but if we're talking about throughout the entire country,
total
in all of America.
But I don't know about billions. So they're saying up to 500 billion
in Minneapolis by the
Somalis. In Somalia,
9 billion fraud, to be precise.
Some 9 billion is what they're saying total fraud. But I'm not saying it's 9 billion total fraud going to the Dems.
9 billion in Minneapolis.
But nobody's saying it's all that's going to the Dems. Nobody's saying that.
But a lot of it is, and it's enriching them.
And we don't know. We don't know how much.
Yeah, that's what we're. Yeah, but we know that some is. And they're getting a lot, and some is leaving the country.
What number do you know that is going to the Dems?
$9 billion in child care fraud.
What number can you say with confidence?
I'm opening a daycare tomorrow.
I mean, millions so far. I mean,
million. Okay, so can you reference something?
They have audits that these people that are being whatever
billions.
From 2020 and 2024 all the way up. They have audits. They've testified before Congress, and they've listed these organizations that are being alleged with the fraud, the billions alleged
with
donated.
The fraud. Okay.
Yes, well, we're only in the initial stages.
Okay,
first we were told
what number? What number?
Hold on, Corey. This is the problem: is we were told this wasn't happening at all, and now we're finding out. I never said that. Not only was it happening, we were having people saying it's been whistleblowers for years.
You keep saying we're saying that, but we're not saying that. I'm just asking
people
you
are saying it.
The
Democrats are saying that.
Claim.
People.
Okay, y'all are acting like y'all can say y'all weren't saying that. I mean, I'm thinking y'all just didn't know, but there are lots of Dems that were outright claiming this wasn't happening at all, and now we're seeing the leaks. And y'all are going.
We can hear you. No,
it's the same as the other thing. And I'm like, you don't see the difference between
when
our friend
Lactoid. When our friend Lactoid,
I mean, it seems like Corey understands the difference. Do you understand the difference, though, Prime? And all.
Sorry, 1 second. When Lactoid brought up like the Democrats, I don't know, of complicity or negligence, right, in this matter, right? Like the statements of the other officials, right? Like, I agree. Like, yes, you are correct, right? Like, it sounds like, from my understanding, right, it sounds like that there was an effort to distract from this, to say that, like,
yes,
this wasn't happening with the community at all. So it's not that no one was saying what you're saying.
No one said it 3 days ago that people are insane for believing this is happening. So I mean, it's happening as of 3 days ago. They're saying it's not happening.
Yeah. So there was a level of distraction, but like in this conversation, we keep saying that like we are.
But you see the difference, Prime.
Right. What was the difference? Sorry.
So this is what I'm saying: is the institutionalized versus an independent. If one of them's worse when it's your tax dollars going to this thing, and then the government. If they're sending money to a daycare that doesn't exist, and the daycare is turning around and sending money they otherwise wouldn't have gotten to
you mean through the system? Are you talking about this system? Sorry. No, I'm just being sorry. You're being frustrated with me here, but I'm like literally just trying to understand what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm trying.
I'm not trying to be difficult. So I'm just like identifying the exact system you're talking about. Is the system the machine that gets the money from the fraudsters who defraud the government to the politicians, or is the system like the government program that provided the funds in the first place that was easily defrauded? Which one are you talking about?
Well, it's both. It's both, and that's what we're finding out. And so I'll explain. Okay. So we have, like, for example, we have Ilhan Omar. We have one specific one that they know for sure donated money to her party, to her campaign, right?
Okay.
And then alleged, right? And they have the audit that it donated. And then it's alleged right now that it's one of the fraudulent ones. And we're seeing this across the examples of these groups that have been alleged fraudsters donating Democratic campaigns. So these people, when it was brought up in 2018, 2021, these whistleblowers brought it up. The Attorney General, Ken Ellison, he's been accused of playing it down, because they know that if the money's going to go to the people that are going to keep writing the bill that's going to give money to these fraudulent daycares and fraudulent trucking companies. And others. So basically, they're institutionalizing money that's going to go to things that for the majority of them, some of them are real, but the majority of them they know are not real. And then these are going to turn around, and some of the money is going to go out of the country, and then some of the money is going to go directly to Democratic campaigns. That's the system, and that's different than an independent private citizen defrauding the American people, and then they give a donation.
So sorry, but you're trying to make a distinction here between like this situation, which is again bad. No one here, no Corey, or Ali, don't defend what's going on there, right? And compared to, I believe, what you're contrasting it to, what I pointed out, which is the decades, maybe centuries long practice of the rich, right? Like giving money to both parties, frankly, right? Looking for tax breaks, right? And then those politicians putting those bribes into action, giving them vehicles, like financial vehicles, like those 501c. 4s or whatever the fuck, right? The dark money vehicles, so that they can hide more bribes to go in their direction, right? And then
that's also bad. That's different.
Great. Well, hold on. Okay, so when you say different, do you mean less bad? Because
I don't mean less bad. I mean fundamentally, there's a major difference, and I'm real confused.
What difference does it make if there's a difference?
Well, Gibbs, wait. Can I ask this question? I might clarify a little bit, because I'm hearing. Do you think there's a system within the Minneapolis government under Tim Walz that is like teaching and sourcing Somalis and like, so because what you're saying is that they're getting all of this fraudulent money from the government under the guise of like a daycare, right? And it's either the government knows that these daycares are empty, but they're giving them the money anyways because they know that they're going to get the kickback through donations, right? Are you saying that the people who are giving out the loans know that they're giving out fraudulent loans, and they're giving out fraudulent loans intentionally because they're going to get a kickback off of the backs of these loans?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, cool. So like Prime, that's what he's saying. The difference is that there's people who are scamming Americans through their own businesses, right?
Yeah.
And then they're paying the government to they're paying off their politicians, whatever. That's different because they're individually doing this action, not through the government, right? Like it's not like the government, they're not scamming the government to do this, they're scamming individual Americans. Versus quote unquote right now what's happening in Minnesota, he's saying that the Somalis are in cahoots with the government, the people who are giving them the loans, right? The Department of Education, I'm assuming, right? I don't know how the loans
don't buy that claim, by the way. That is his claim, but he can't back it up.
I'm saying So he's saying that the Department of Education is in cahoots with the Somalis.
I get
specifically, and that's why he's saying that's why the fraud is different and why
I hear you. I got it, right? But like the thing that I'm describing is like even quote unquote worse, because it's not millions, it's hundreds of billions that actually
I'm just telling you what
go out the door, right? Is. So there's two ways, right? One, there's the helping the tax evasion, tax fraud, tax loopholes, all those wonderful ways that are baked into our very system to help the rich avoid taxes, right? And then now it's legal. But beyond that, let's put that aside for a second, right? Beyond that, it's the contracts, right? I put money in a politician's pocket, right? Be them a Democrat or Republican. I put money in their pocket. All of a sudden, I get government contracts, right? That's how the defense system works. And then talking about like getting kickbacks, right? Like when talk about getting kickbacks. If you were on the House or the Senate Defense Committee, right? Whatever the name of that is within the Senate, right? The subcommittee, right? Like more often than not, when you leave that committee, you go straight to the defense complex, right? The defense industry, because you did well for them. You made sure they got the contracts that they wanted. Killer or the cartel? Billions and billions of dollars of contracts that you secured for them, and then they take care of you by like putting you on the board of one of their companies, right? And paying you millions of dollars to not even show up, right? When I'm talking about corruption, it's on the scale of billions, and it's been going on for a century at least.
Yeah, but
how's that not worse?
Can I just say one thing real quick? I just wanted to say there's a statement earlier that was, I just want to make sure we clarify. White men are underrepresented in tax fraud. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Underrepresented.
Okay.
You got to get those numbers up, Lactoid.
But like, listen, you're talking about. Listen, I understand what you're saying, Prime, but this is the issue I'm having. That has been agreed upon, whether you like it or not, that these are legal methods for them to do this. Right now, anytime they break the law, that's bad. And this is the big difference I keep coming back to, is that these people, and Ali kind of hit the nail on the head, is it's individuals. If like Exxon does something by itself, that's one company, right? And they're doing it, and that's bad, and they're defrauding other Americans, and maybe they try to get Uncle Sam, whatever. It's different when you have a group of people, like a cartel, for example. Say a cartel was going to sit here and like own a politician. They literally own a politician, or they sit here, and then the cartel has the politician go up there and they go, oh, we're going to make 50 fake laundromats. And the politician puts forth a bill that says, oh, laundromats now are going to get tax dollars from Mexico or from Americans that are going to get the money, and it's going to go to laundromats to build them. And then that money is going to turn around and be spent. That's different than, hold on, and this is the key. We're taking money from Americans and we're giving it to the government. Yeah. And then they're taking that money, hold on, and giving it to this group. Now, what Prime is describing is different, and this is key. The other one, yeah, it's bad. Oh, they got their money, and they have their money, and they work their company, and these people working, and they want to like not pay taxes. It's different when they're going and like not hiding their money. They're hiding their money or whatever. That's different than saying, oh, they're going to take somebody else's money and then give it away.
However,
like at least they're keeping their money. That's different. Like. I do not see
in the same regard, these people after or before they get their pardons, right? There's going to be some type of like negotiation or some type of like assumption, like, hey, these people are going to donate to me. So you essentially, also back to the Minnesota thing, like the Department of Education. That within the Department of Education, there are people who are just not openly, but kind of openly writing fraudulent loans out to, or fraudulent grants out to people, knowing that these, like you're saying, that they aren't getting frauded, that they're part of the fraud and they're in contribution to the fraud, so that the money can come back to like either the Minnesota or department or Democratic
yeah, that's what's being alleged, and that's what the investigations are doing.
But you do realize you have to prove that, right? You have to prove the connection between the Department of Education.
Yeah, but we were told this wasn't happening at all for years, and now they're looking into it, and it looks fishy as fuck.
I don't know who told you this. But like me and you are having the conversation. I understand you. I understand you completely. Listen. No one is going to tell you that I'm going to be the last person to tell you that Somalis don't do fraud. All right, listen. I'm from the Middle East. Okay. People do fraud. Okay,
everyone does fraud.
My people personally, we're more like an insurance and credit card fraud type of people, but that's a completely different thing. Okay, right? We're not talking about that right now. When we talk about Lebanese fraud, holla at me. But right now, we're talking about this specific type of fraud. You're alleging that the Department of Education, within the Department of Education, there's just enough people that are writing so much, like $9 billion.
Well, there is a second option. There's a second option.
I do want to move on to
the second option is just like weaponized ineptitude, and then that's even worse. Like
that's also pretty bad.
That's what I think. I think it's
so. If it's weaponized ineptitude, holy fuck.
I do want to move on. So I do want to move on to our next thing, because that's what we prepared for. This took long, as always with our pre-debates, it took longer than I thought. To Lactoid, to respond to you, right? So I don't remember I mean this actually. I'm not trying to dodge or anything. Someone can look back and tell me exactly what I said, right? I don't remember specifically saying tax fraud was specifically overrepresented. I thought I said white collar crime, right? Like financial crime. Yeah, that's what I thought I said.
Well,
right?
So to be clear,
okay.
So both were mentioned, and I said actually Black people are overrepresented in white collar crime, and then you clarified tax fraud, or somebody did clarify. No, well, what about tax fraud? And then I looked that up, and even within the subgroup of tax fraud, white people are still underrepresented. It's it's a common trope that white collar crime is generally amongst white middle class or business class people, and it's just not true.
So I did. Okay, to be clear, I haven't done any additional digging, and if I'm wrong, I will take it back, right? But do an AI search. This is Gemini, right?
Corey Mark
says and if I'm wrong again,
let me bring up Gork real quick, and we'll cross-reference it.
It says, yes, research consistently indicates that white men are overrepresented in white-collar financial crimes, particularly in high-level or quote-unquote elite offenses. And then it gives some, says gender between 80 and 92% of white-collar crimes are men, and then it goes down racist studies. Federal white-collar crime offenders show that roughly 64% to 70% are white. In certain elite categories like antitrust and securities fraud, white individuals dominate, quote unquote dominate, compared to other offense types. So, but if it's wrong,
ask it a clarifying question. Ask it to break down the by percentage, the racial groups by percentage, because what Gork just gave me is fraud offenses generally 61% white, 33% black, embezzlement 56% white, 38% black. Forgery, 49% white, 34% black. Bribery, 66% white, 24% black.
Okay, I'll put breakdown the statistics by race. Okay.
Wait, how does that show that you're underrepresented?
Because black people are 13%.
Yeah, relative to the demographics of the total United States.
Per capita.
So it says
sometimes AI fucks up per capita too.
It's fair. It says whites are approximately 62 to 67% of individuals arrested for fraud and embezzlement schemes in the U.S. are white. Black, African American, roughly 24 to 27% of arrests for financial crimes involve black individuals. Hispanic, Latino, approximately 19% of those arrested for these offenses are Hispanic and Latin origin.
Yeah, the number you just gave underrepresent whites and overrepresents black people, right?
Doesn't it properly represent whites as 50% of the country?
24 to 27 for black.
Yeah, that's double the population size.
Yeah, but it properly represents whites, as in you guys are about half the country.
No, we're 70%, I think, still, right? Hold on.
Are you?
No, I think it's around
I don't think
57, 58%. I might have not updated.
Depends on where you count Gibbs, right? If you count Gibbs and me in the white category.
Yeah, well, I guess whatever.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's 70% again.
Yeah, if you count me and Gibbs.
What year?
Just come on, bring us in. Bring us in.
I'm just throwing them off the top of my head. Really, I'm not really looking at.
You're right. So in 2024, it's 59.8%. So about 60%.
Is that counting me and Gibbs?
However,
Lebanese, Arabs are white in America.
Yeah, hold on. Overall, 72% of Americans identify as white, either alone or in combination with one or more other racial groups.
Yeah,
I think the distinction is
what are those
then what if they're double dipping, right? So is it alone in combination, or
I believe that 58-59% is they identify exclusively as white and white only.
When they're committing crimes, what Lashwood says, now they're black. Okay, he says,
wait,
Arab.
What percentage of people? What percentage of people are putting black first, and then as another category, I'm also white? You know what this is? This is people identifying identifying as white and then also like Latino or something.
Oh, no, we got what's you do, Venti? Venti classifies as white.
Well, let's just go figure out what groups are white.
And all of a sudden you're black, and Lactose very much likes this rule.
Let's just start going down the list. Like what you tell me which group is not white, and that's what we're gonna start with shades. How about the Czechs? Are the Czechs white?
Probably, maybe. I don't.
Okay,
yes,
so
yes,
I guess. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure.
Eastern Europeans are just light browns.
Are they white? The Eastern Europeans are white. Okay, well now I got questions.
I say Czechs.
Well, I guess then Ali. Then I guess you and I are white then. I mean, Arabs are white then, I guess now.
I mean, in America, the Lebanese. I mean,
you know. I would say
I don't know.
Gibbs, I don't care if your parents are from Mexico or wherever the fuck, right? Like you got white skin. White skin, you're white.
I'm still the Spanish aren't even considered white by half the groups. Like that's what's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Lots of people don't want to consider them white, but they're fucking white.
Wait, hold on. So I'm reading right here, race and Hispanic origin. So this is off the census. White alone percent says 74. Am I misreading this?
Yeah, it's Spain.
I will say that it's tough getting a solid read, especially when it comes to white. It gets
shades.
It depends on how people interpret themselves, right? Like there are Asians, like people who are like from Asia, right, who come off the boat and will mark themselves down as white because they look down at their skin and they say, well, this is white skin, and so I'm white. And they don't realize because other countries treat race differently. They look at race differently. They're
not aware of the racism yet when they're off
the boat. They're not aware of that. And then later on, they shift themselves to Asian, right? So the way.
Well, so here's your problem then. Here's the problem with that though. This would also mean if you're saying this, if you're saying, well, maybe the percent of white is inflated in terms of the denominator, this also must apply to the numerator. That must mean that some percentage of those white fraud cases that you're referring to, some of those are non-white people. Some of those are like the Asians, right?
I hear you. I'm not denying
but when you look at, for example, like even if it was the case, if we're saying like around 60 or something percent, or compared to like 58% of the U.S. population is white, we're talking like at most a 2% overrepresentation, which again I'm skeptical of.
It says but that is 7% on what I said, so that seems seems a lot.
The top end of 67. If we're going with the top end of 67, and we're going with the low end of just people who identify as white, non-Hispanic alone, right? If we're going off that,
men. Overrepresented by gender.
That right? is men are overrepresented in most crimes.
So I said but like this is well, I guess I can break it down by race and gender at the same time.
Right. But based on the stats that you read, this would mean that black people are more overrepresented in every one of these white collar crimes than the best reading of the white collar white person white collar crime.
Get their numbers up, bro.
Okay. All right. Fair. Okay. Fair.
Look, I just don't want the IRS to investigate me. That's
okay. All right, fair.
But why not? What are you hiding, Lactoid?
Nothing.
We'll give Lactoid the last word on this, friend.
Oh yeah, what's your social security number if you're not hiding anything?
Okay. The last word is look. I've had this conversation with Gibbs multiple times, where me and Gibbs have been on the same team. I think the main distinction between me and Gibbs is I think for me. What Gibbs alleges, I believe, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, is he alleges that a lot of this fraud is like very intentional and like masterminded by like the Democratic establishment to funnel money into their organization. I stop short of that.
And millions of dollars.
Yeah. I stop short of that. For me, the evidence I've seen is in persistent and systemic incompetence by officials in Minnesota when it comes to addressing this problem, and we also, I believe, see that there is money, at least in one instance, and plenty that we haven't found yet, I'm sure, of fraudulent money used to try and buy politicians on the local level in order to pressure them to stop investigations into those organizations, which is exactly what Feeding Our Future did. Is it a surprise that Feeding Our Future was the one that was giving money to politicians like Omar Fattah and the one fucking city council member that I can't remember the name of, and then like they were the most prominent ones when it came to trying to get the eyes off of Feeding Our Future when it came to the investigations. And then only after the convictions came down did they apologize and they say, oh shit, like we didn't know. Yeah, it's very possible they didn't know. But let's be honest here. Like there is a sort of shadow fraud system in place in terms of you can give politicians money and they're not incentivized necessarily to ask all that many questions, right? Why would they? What they want to do is they want to make their donors happy. And if those donors are getting money via fraud, whether it be the the typical legal definition of fraud, I think that's really bad. But I also think it opens up a larger conversation as to, well, there also is a massive incentive to create government jobs or create jobs that are also reliant on certain political parties to maintain funding in order to, and that can lead to political funding as well. So I think we're seeing a little bit of a feedback loop. I think that could have motivated some of the inaction in Minnesota. But at the very least, I think the reason why Tim Walz is stepping down, this idea of I want to focus on helping it's politicians don't do that unless they know it's like, oh shit, this is going to be bad. And it is bad. I don't think you're going to find Tim Walz like, masterminding, I'm going to, buy a new mansion in Panama or something. No, but I think what you're going to find is, man, Tim Walz had a bunch of responsibilities here and he didn't do it. Pretty bad. So that's what I believe.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just curious. Of the money that that was given to politicians or whatever of that ilk, well, in your mind, based off what like, what is the total dollar amount that amounts to? Do you think it's more than 100,000?
I don't know. It's not in the millions.
Okay. Do you know?
Probably not 100,000.
But yeah, the person that you brought up, Omar
Fatah, and I'll find the other name as well. Give me a second.
Yeah, do you know how much money, dollar amount, roughly? I don't need like an exact, but do you think it's like 100,000 was given to him?
No, I don't think so.
Well, what about 50,000? You have any?
Probably not, but we're kind of getting closer to like within.
I'm pretty sure. Last I checked, like pretty much most of the donations of the 4 people or 5 people that it's like it's in the range of like 7,000 to 10,000.
That could be it. Yeah. For these particular like 4 individuals,
you add it all up, it all amounts to less than $100,000 from what I can tell.
That's probably true for the specific ones we found. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
which matters a lot in these local races, just to be clear.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that's bad for sure. But then, do you think it's an exaggerated claim now to say that it also amounts to millions of dollars, like Gibbs, or potentially billions of dollars?
I would agree. I would agree. It is a unsupported claim.
It's an orders of magnitude, literally.
Well, but what Gibbs is saying. Okay, hold on. What Gibbs is the fraud that we currently know. There's no way you can say it's like millions have been given to politicians. That would be crazy. What I think Gibbs is saying is there is there's undiscovered fraud that amounts to this amount of money given to politicians across the country, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
he's saying across the whole country. That's more reasonable.
Sure. Yeah, across the country.
Is there undiscovered sexual misconduct about Trump?
Probably. I don't know. Maybe. And it's really fucking bad what's going on with the Epstein shit.
There's undiscovered sexual misconduct around Trump. You would agree with that assessment, right?
Hold on. Let's just.
Now we got to get into the weeds and be real nuanced, right?
No. Let's just use the Epstein thing. Let's just say, actually, I'm gonna give you a scenario. Actually,
even if he didn't do it,
I would like to go to the actual topic at hand.
Let's say he did it, and the Epstein stuff never comes out, but we find billions and billions of fraud, and we actually do something about it. What are you going to be? Are you going to be like, oh well, the presidency's a failure because they didn't get it?
Oh, hold on. I think if we find billions and billions of fraud, that'd be good, and you should put that in Trump's good pile. But I mean, the Epstein.
It's like those kids took one for the team. Save billions of dollars.
Even if he didn't do anything with like in regards to the island, the fact that like he's been so cagey with releasing documents is really bad. And so to make my statement completely clear, I don't know if he was actually involved in any kind of actual like sexual abuse, but I think it is undeniable at this point that he is being way too cagey with releasing important information on it. And for that alone, he should receive a lot of criticism. That's fucked up.
Let's move on to the topic at hand. But thanks, guys, for this spirited debate that lasted, that's what, an hour and 40 minutes. I asked for a pre-debate, and you guys, as always, provided. So I appreciate everything. And Gibbs, you tried to engage us honestly, so I appreciate you, friend. And of course you liked it as well. Okay, let's get started, guys and gals, if you're out there, and if you thought this was fun. This is the warm up. If you thought that was fun, consider supporting the channel. Sub to the channel, give bits or give subs. Follow the channel if you haven't done so yet. We're on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick. So all at PrimeKai, PrimeCeys. You can find us on all those. So hit the follow button wherever you might be, and consider supporting the channel financially if you can. Memberships on YouTube, super chats. We'll put your super chats up. We'll give them a discussion. So consider supporting us that way directly. It's a big help. But thank you for the people who do, specifically my listening library, YouTube, who's helping us out. Much appreciated. Okay.
Real quick, can I say one thing before we go? The name of that council member, Jamal Osman. That's the name of the Minneapolis City Council member that called investigations into defeating our future a racist tactic. Thank you.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Let's get started. We have a topic that I picked out here. Okay. After the fall of Venezuela's Maduro, the U.S. has made it clear that both Iran and Greenland could very well be next. This threat is taken so seriously that Europe moved a token number of soldiers to Greenland as a show of solidarity. The EU is preparing economic retaliation after Trump has threatened a fresh round of tariffs over the Greenland dispute. Cuba has also been targeted. What has the U.S. gained in this time of aggressive militarism? Do you think this positions America to be a global leader for the rest of the century? Are these intelligent strategic moves that will pay dividends in the future? Is the reshaping of the international landscape, including an unprecedented threat to the NATO alliance, a worthy legacy of the Trump administration? We've been watching this take place, unfold. The Trump administration has not been shy about his intentions, and quite serious about his intentions, right? They said they were going after Maduro in Venezuela, and they did exactly that, right? So I think that for many people, they've not been taking his threats quite seriously previously. But now, especially after the Venezuela incident, maybe he'll do it, right? But I mean, they shouldn't have waited that far, that long, because he also bombed Iran previously. That already happened. We seem to move past that. So Trump has been making, the president of peace, has been making these interventions, and he specifically right now is focused on Greenland. And he keeps bringing up a military option. He absolutely won't rule it out. Keeps teasing it. He's also teased, of course, like paying off Greenlanders, giving them money for them to, I guess, to vote their way out of Denmark's grasp. So that's certainly up there as well. But if he goes down the military route specifically, that would probably mean, well, maybe. Well, actually, I'm not exactly sure. No one's actually sure. But it would certainly damage the NATO alliance, right? Maybe it's the end of it. Who knows? But it would seriously damage the NATO alliance. Like, they don't, as far as I know, they don't actually have a protocol like within their charter for when one of the NATO alliance attacks another one. They have when an outside force attacks, right? They know what to do then. But an alliance
usually
fight,
implicit in most alliances do not attack each other. At least that's my
understanding. Exactly, yeah. There's implicit in that. But as far as I know, someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that point. But yes, so they're not even prepared for it. So that's why I'm saying we don't know what happens if Trump actually invades Greenland. But in terms of our, the state of our alliances and our stature in the world, it'll mean big consequences, whether you're in support of it or against it. Big consequences, one way or the other, if this actually goes down. So I like to discuss that. Discuss, a possible strike in Iran. Discuss possibly the U.S. putting effort into taking down the Cuban regime as well. After so long, decades of U.S. saber rattling on that one, like, will they actually use that saber? We'll see. So yeah, well, let's talk about that. We'll start. Sorry, Lactoid. I apologize. Oh my God, Lactoid, you weren't in position. Yeah. We'll start.
All that rock, paper, scissors for nothing.
Yeah. Let's go to our friend Lactoid.
Okay. Holy shit. All right. So there's been a lot of developments about this. So I'm just going to say a couple things. The first thing is we've threatened tariffs. I believe maybe we've already put 10, or we're going to imminently put 10% tariffs.
Yeah.
On every country that doesn't support our claim to Greenland. And that's going to raise to 25%. There's some countries that are intimately involved with us that are have already stated they're not taking a position on it at all. So Ukraine, for example, has stated they were asked about it and they were like, well, I'm sure. I don't know. Greenland, where's that? They just totally didn't want to answer for obvious reasons. Okay, what a strategic blunder that would be to give an answer either way when you're getting so much aid from Europe and America. When there's a conflict between the two, you just I don't, from a geopolitical perspective, I don't fault them for that maneuver. But the fact that they're not taking a position, I think, is going to be the case for probably several European nations, I can imagine. The idea that Europe will, like all the countries in Europe, or especially all the countries in NATO, are going to be united in their rejection of U.S. Occupation of Greenland, I think is faulty. I don't think that they are there is going to be that level of unity. You're probably going to see, and I think you already have, some key countries, bigger ones, Germany, France, they're going to say things like, "Oh, this is really bad. We Greenland's part of Denmark," and they're going to, send a few soldiers, by the way, some of whom have already been recalled from Greenland. We're talking like single-digit numbers of soldiers. It's
one soldier from UK.
Yeah, one soldier from the UK. It's hilarious. I'm sorry. It's
one
actually
super
hilarious.
soldier, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I think Germany sent like 3 or 4, like some laughable number. That doesn't actually
fuck around with them.
Yeah, it doesn't actually doesn't actually provide any kind of like security for Greenland. It's just, hey, we're sending troops to help guard against America. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. There's a geopolitical reality that needs to be accepted by the rest of NATO, which is, and as Gibbs would say, they are baby back bitches. They are tiny compared to us in every regard when it comes to the military, and they know it to the extent that they're not going to do anything. There is not going to be an inter-NATO war. This can't happen. Intra-NATO war. This can't happen because, I'm sorry, they just would lose, and they know they would lose, and it'd be crazy expensive. It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is a whole bunch of protesting and back and forth and attempts to use diplomatic channels to, from the U.S. to try to get Greenland, and then you're going to get a lot of belly aching and diplomatic channel use to try to, resist that on the European side. My proposal is what we should be doing right now is bribing the Greenlanders. Okay, that's what we should be doing. We should not be negotiating with Denmark. We shouldn't be tariffing the European countries. We should just go right to the Greenlanders and say the following: hey, Denmark has recognized your right to secede. I'm pretty sure this was in 2009 or 2011. I don't remember the exact year. But Denmark, the Danish government, has specifically said you have the right to vote for independence. You have the right to do that. And when polled, Greenlanders really don't like Denmark all that much. When asked the question, like, do you want to separate from Denmark, most Greenlanders say yes. Then when you followed up by asking, well, what if you lose the money that Denmark sends you, which accounts for like half to 2/3 of their budget, by the way. They're a dependent nation at this point. Then they change their answer. Well, I guess we shouldn't leave if we're going to lose all that Danish money. So all we have to do is replace the Danish money. All we have to do is bribe these people. Okay, they can be bought. They don't like Denmark, and they have a right to secede. We go to them and we say, look, there's like 57,000 of you. It's not a lot of people. 57,000 people. $100,000 a piece if you guys successfully vote for independence and then vote to join a free association with the United States. Boom, done. That's what we should be doing. We should be having done that yesterday. I'm a big fan of America acquiring Greenland. I agree that it's critical for security. I agree that it's critical for navigation. I agree it's critical for rare earth minerals. But there's a way to do this without having to go to war, without having to fuck over Europe. There's a way to do this without violating the self-determination of people, which I care about a lot. We bribe them. We pay them until they want to join us. Boom. We can do it easy. 57,000 people, tiny amount of people. That's the solution.
Okay. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Well, I'll try to keep it short because I actually want to get to the open to actually have a more full discussion. But I think it is exceptionally unlikely that the United States will get Greenland in any capacity. I think even Lactoid, I agree, there's a price. I think Lactoid significantly underestimates Greenlanders' probably dislike or the price tag that would have to be to get Greenland to vote in their favor. I think $100,000 is a huge lowball. It's probably an order of magnitude off, probably. Just like, I don't know for sure, but even just like to bribe Canadians to become the 51st state. Okay, it's going to take way more than $100,000, way more than probably even $1 million. I'm sure there's going to be some citizens, but probably not enough to buy off the whole nation. And I think the same thing holds true. I'm sure, yes, if you commit to giving every Greenlander $1 million, you could probably make it happen. But then the price tag becomes, I'm pretty sure that's tens of trillions of dollars. If I have my sort of quick mental math, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's at least trillions of dollars. And so I guess you could potentially do that, but I think that's highly exceptionally unlikely. But to answer the prompts in the question, where do I think this positions America to be a global leader for the rest of the century? I think the answer is no. I think it's generally poor policy and demeanor to, basically make your allies angry, or pretty much to, not treat your allies as actual allies, but you can literally call it saber rattling. And you see this now in terms of, the effects in Canada. I think there's a reason why a conservative was supposed to win an election a little over a year ago or more. And yet, as a result of certain things, it flipped to the Liberal Party. And so I think there are reasons for that. And now you're seeing Canada trying to turn away, slowly but surely, away from the United States or being dependent on the United States and making deals with China. I think that will set a precedent for other countries probably following suit, but we'll see how that plays out. And so I think, this is overall just poor strategic moves if the U.S. actually wants to continue to be a superpower in the long run. I have no problem seeing the U.S. fall, okay, but I don't think these are good moves, but I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you so much. Ali, do you want to go after Gibbs or do you want to go first?
No, I'll go. Mine's a little bit lackluster. We can let Gibbsy do this. Okay. I don't know. I see all this shit is setting up for God Emperor Trump. I see a bunch of forever wars. I see us engaging in regime changes that don't need to be necessary. We don't, we can sit here and claim that buying Greenland is a security. It's a security. We need it for security because I guess China owns Canada. I don't know what the fuck the security breach would be, but we need to surround Canada for some reason rather than just be allies with the people under some guise of trust or law and order or whatever the fuck it is. No, we're gonna buy Greenland from Denmark, which we're not going to. We're going to bribe the Greenlanders. Can the Americans get bribed first? Can we get bribed first? Where's my $2,000 from Doge? Where's my $2,000 stimulus that was supposed to come from all this fraud and waste and all? That's all. I'm sick of thinking about other countries. I'm sick of regime changes. I'm sick of focusing and spending all our money when honestly, most Americans are just fucking broke, can't afford their rent. Yes, Greenland is not a security measure that we need, right? It's only going to cause more animosity. And then, it sets a precedent for the rest of the world, right? Why can't China just go take Taiwan? Why can't Russia have Ukraine? I mean, they want it. It's theirs. It's a security measure, right? Ukraine was supposed to, it's I don't know. The precedent that it sets is kind of crazy. Us just being able to just go over and kidnap presidents or dictators or whatever the fuck it may be, just because we're we want to, we want the oil, we want the, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good precedent to set. And then, it gets us into all these forever wars, which, we already know that Trump wants to be a third term goblin. So I don't know. This is kind of just setting all that up.
Let's let our friend Gibbs in, the big show.
Yeah. I'm ready for this one. I I'm so happy. And this is something me and if y'all remember, iCal Rich would always talk about, which was IRBO, or International Rules-Based Order. And I'm sitting here seeing these things, and I've always thought that IRBO was bullshit. And if you've been following African news for the past few years, they have had what they've had, the Great African War and the Great African War II, basically, right? And there's some argument that we're in the third of it. And what has happened is borders have changed the fuck ton. But, it's Africa. It doesn't get covered in the news. People think, shit's just not happening. But it's had real world implications spreading from there. And then we see Russia. They've taken cues. They've taken a little parts of Ukraine. They've annexed a little pieces here, a little bit there. They just proved, hey, we can take what we want if we're strong enough. And China's done the same thing with building these bases, all sorts of stuff. And I'm so fucking glad that we're not sitting here playing with our dicks in the UN anymore, and we're actually getting shit done. Like, it's amazing. It's glorious. Like, by God, there's 66,000 people. That's how many people live in in Greenland. That's nothing. It's right off our coast. It's full of minerals, and they're doing nothing with it. You know what we can be using that for? Whatever the fuck we want. And what are they going to do? They're going to send some troops over here? They ain't going to do fucking shit. You notice what countries didn't team up with them? It's all the five amigos of scrubs except for Germany. None of those other countries, they got nothing left. The Brits, what are they doing? They're crashing their own boats into each other. I'm real worried about what they're going to do to us. Like, nothing. They had a navy. They ain't got shit now. Like, I got zero fear of that group of people. You know what Poland said? Poland said, hey, we're going to make our own strategic alliance with the United States. Who's Poland? Oh, they're the only strongest member of NATO now. You know what Italy said? They said, this sounds like the start of a bad joke. But we went in there. China's terrified. They had their best missile radar systems in Venezuela. They didn't even see us coming. Like, it's just, they know we're so far ahead of them. And we're just being generous right now, offering them the money. And, like, it's just a sign. They had the Cuban death group like squads guarding Maduro. These are supposed to be the bonded Cubans, and they got their ass beat. Like, all these countries right now are quaking with fear. And if there was ever a time to whoop that ass, it's now. And, like, by God, we don't have to start with the whole world, but we should start with our half. Venezuela, that should be ours. If it's got oil, guess what? Fuck Iran. We should just drive those prices low as fuck. Can't wait for $1.90 gasoline again. And then, you know what else sounds good? Cuba, let's get some cigars. Let's go capture them next. Greenland, I don't see why we shouldn't do this. Y'all can't tell me one good reason other than, oh, it's mean. And guess what? All these other countries are doing it anyway. Come back to reality. It's either eat or be eaten. That's where we're at now. And it's time to be the big dick kids on the block and do what we should have been doing for the last 30 years instead of this neo-imperialism, which hasn't worked.
So I want to, before you jump out, I'll say a few words here. Additional words from what I said previously. Sorry.
Can you also read the letter that Trump sent to the Norwegian Prime Minister?
Could you? Oh, send it to me.
I'll read it if you want.
I think there were they text messages or a letter? I think there was a letter to Denmark.
This is a letter. This is a letter to Norway.
Oh,
it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, pretty much admitting that the only reason he cares about peace is for external rewards. As long as you reward me, then I care about peace. But since you're not going to reward me, really great character.
Can I just read the letter?
Hold on, no, let me get my point out.
Go ahead.
Clearly. So just to set where I'm at, right? I'm consistent what I've been saying here for years, right? If a territory is completely empty, and the people there aren't really doing much to develop it, then I don't know, man. Maybe we should give it up, right? I mean, Canada is empty. There's no one there. It's a massive territory. There is no one there, right? And so, shouldn't they be part of the U.S.? I mean, maybe, right? And then in terms of Greenland, I mean, the situation is worse. Greenland is bigger than Alaska. It's like bigger. Like there's some like it's like
25% bigger.
Yeah, bigger than bigger than Alaska. It's an absolutely huge territory, right? And I think Trump's original proposal, and I could be wrong, but I think it was $100,000 for each person in Greenland, right? Which would come out to $6 billion. There's actually not 66,000, 56,000 people, almost 57,000 individuals. Almost 57,000. In Greenland. Like if it was for 100,000 each, right? Hey, let's put it up to
$1 million, right? $1 million for each person. That'd be $60 billion. If Trump successfully got that through some sort of democratic decision that was made there, that would be the deal of the century. And I would absolutely support it.
That's a deal.
Absolutely, 100% of it. Like it's a steal, is what that is, right? And so yeah, that would be one of a great foreign policy coup on his part, and I'm supportive of making the offer. Absolutely. And like I see a lot of Greenlanders. I saw the protests. We had protests this weekend about all of them talking about how they don't want to be American. I'm curious. All I could think of at the time was, I'm curious if that would be the case if you very literally had $1 million right in front of you. All you had to do is vote yes to get it, right? I'm curious how many of them would stick to that stance. I don't know, right? Maybe they're serious, maybe they're not. But I think we should make the offer, and I think that's actually quite fair. However, while I say that, like, empty territories might be better off, used by other powers that could actually properly exploit them, I am not in favor of, this is where I'll break the heart of my good friend Gibbs, right? I'm not in favor of a military intervention. Fuck that. Sorry, friend, right? I've disappointed you, friend. I'm sorry. And while I maintain my stance on Canada, no, I do not want to invade our Canadian friends, right? I do not want to drop Liberty bombs on them, right? Cover Toronto and freedom craters. I have no
you can have Toronto. You can definitely bomb. No,
you can bomb they always say that. It's not Quebec.
But like,
I'm a Montreal. I'm obliged to say that.
I'm not. I know. I'm not. So I'm not interested in actually invading. I think that's crazy. And right, and this is we're gonna get into this in the future discussions. Is that this destroys our relations, our allyships around the world, alliances around the world. This proves that we cannot be trusted, which is what I've been saying the entire goddamn time. That America can't be trusted, right? I've been saying that here on this panel many times. America can't be trusted. But this further takes us down the road, right? And it further takes us to a future where America is not the center of the world. I think for a lot of the American firsters, like who are ecstatic about this, right? Who are saying this is obviously the correct move. I think this damages us in ways that they cannot grasp yet, right? Sorry, not Gibbs. Gibbs is smart, but like others, I think cannot grasp like what the immense consequences of this will be, right? And so I'm saying, like, one, just don't invade because it's wrong, right? But two, if you do invade, well, like this damages American hegemony in a way that we've never seen before. So I'll leave it there. Anyway.
Okay, I want to say if you so Lactoid, you had the first opening set. You proposed buying them off, and so does Prime.
I actually agree with Prime almost entirely.
Sure, yeah. Can you semi-walk me through the logistics of that? As in, like, what I mean by that is in, like, are you going to pay Greenlanders and then they vote, or what's going to happen?
You would pay them contingent. So what you would do, and
why would Greenlanders trust that?
Isn't that just a bribe?
Yes, we're bribing them. I
very
specifically said on Twitter we have to bribe them. Okay, I'm not masking what it is. Why should they trust? I mean, if they don't trust it, I guess then they're not going to.
You think they should vote in the absence of money in their account?
Yeah. Of course.
And you think they're gonna go?
Yeah. So here's what you have to do. There'd be like an appropriations bill that would very specifically outline this is the funding. It will happen if Greenland votes a certain way. The president says,
"Why would they trust that?"
I have it secured.
And you think they would honor that? I can tell you
that. I do. America
and Greenland.
No, America paid Russia when they sold us Alaska. There were some people in America who opposed that. I think that was a good idea. That turned out to be a pretty good idea. Every single time we even beat Spain in a war, and we still paid them for the Philippines. Like, we pay people when we promise to pay them. So, yeah. And by the way, our credit rating as a country is really good.
If you have a different president now, if there's that, I think.
Yeah, but okay. So obviously, so here's how it would work, right? So you would set it up. Okay, if you guys vote for independence and then vote to join America in a free association, we have like legal framework for this. Then each citizen of Greenland would get a certain amount of money, right? Let's say $100,000. Prime is saying it's going to be under $6 billion. This is an incredible deal considering that we've given almost $200 billion to Ukraine, right? $6 billion for Greenland. This is going to be a massive future boon, not only for the minerals, but also for the shipping lanes and the control of the Arctic, especially as that's melting and Russia and China are competing for influence there. That is a massive economic deal. That's the reason why Trump is so interested into it.
So about losers,
very good deal. We have the money for that. I mean, we could easily
I'm not
pay for that. I think that it would be. I actually think that if we got Greenland out of it, it'd be worth the money we promised just to avoid discontent in Greenland, just to avoid like potential reneging by the Greenlanders of like, hey, we only did this because you promised that, therefore this is void, and then for like actually seriously damaging our relationship with NATO. Like I think there's concerns there that would be cheaper just to pay the $6 billion, because once again, in the grand scheme of things,
and Denmark is just supposed to be okay with this.
Fucking nothing.
Well, what are they going to do about it?
Well, yeah. Well, hold on. If the Greenlanders all agree, if they say we're going to go through the independence vote that's allowed by us, we're going to go through that. We're going to negotiate with Denmark. We're going to get that done.
Yeah.
Greenland is going to be the one that steps in and tells the Greenlanders no.
Well,
at that point, maybe America should be like, well, hold on. Now you are denying the self-determination of the Greenlander people.
So then, does that Denmark become a state or a territory?
What?
Wait, does the Denmark become a state or a territory?
It become a free association.
Denmark doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, so we're talking.
Sorry, not Denmark.
Yeah, he meant Greenland. I know. So we have a bunch of islands in the Pacific, and they aren't states except for Hawaii.
Yeah.
They are considered to be like holdovers of colonies.
So I'm going to reference Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Well, that's in the Caribbean.
Puerto Rico and.
Yeah, so we have like 4 different layers. We have states, then we have like incorporated territories, and then we have like unincorporated, but then there's also like some other term as well. And then you go down the list and then you go to like free association, which is like the lowest tier basically, where they're mostly autonomous. They do most of their self-governing, but they are associated with the U.S. in terms of like trade deals, in terms of we do the negotiation for them. They're like under us, but like they have a lot of freedom in terms of how they function. So that's what we'd offer them, right? They basically get the autonomy that they have now under Denmark to rule their own affairs, but they're going to be part of the U.S. and under a free association agreement, which we would bribe them to do with a fraction of the money that we throw away in the dumpster fire that is foreign conflicts. We could just buy them. I'm fully with Prime. I don't want to support. Launching missiles would be more expensive. Just paying for the cruise missiles to attack Greenland would be more expensive than just paying them off. You're muted, Ali.
Are we good now?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
So like to Corey's point of like the trust, and to like my point of like we're not really good at this, right? We're not good at claiming other territories and taking care of them after the fact, right? We can sit here and say, oh yeah, all we have to do is get Greenlander $100,000, right? And then that's it. We own Greenland. But then like,
wait, how can you say that, Ollie?
Well, we're actually really good at taking care of territories, by the way. Puerto Rico has like the highest GDP.
Not for the people who are living on the land.
No. The people living on the lands. Puerto Rico has like the highest GDP per capita compared to like I think any other country in Latin America, except for like I think the Bahamas or like some other
Puerto Ricans are the ones who reap the benefit of the GDP, or do you think it's the people who own the companies
compared to other people in Latin America? Yes, they are better off. Yes.
Well, hold on. Whose life is better, like the average Mexican or the average New Mexican and the average Californian? Whose life on the day-to-day is better?
The average Mexican or Californian?
Yeah, or New Mexican, or any of those states that were given to us after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Well, we gave Mexico half.
Are we talking about like now, or are we talking about like
now? Who's better?
Now, probably the New Mexico is probably
okay. So then we are pretty good. We are pretty good at taking territories, because what we're talking about is absorbing them and then economically benefiting. Like, think about the economic benefit. This is the other thing. This is big.
People of Hawaii don't want to be a part of America. The people of Puerto Rico don't want to be a part of America. It's just they were taken over.
Much better off economically because of us.
Yeah, they're doing way better.
This, but the people are not happy with the fact that America, because the GDP is higher when they were living on the lands and happy before, right? The idea that
they were happy before they were killing each other.
They were ruled by a monarchy.
Now because McDonald's is in your fucking country, now all of a sudden the people are happier. The people are excited. Not everyone wants to have America.
This is what we call
this is the myth of the wait. This is like the myth of the noble savage. This idea of like, you have like an autocracy in Hawaii that's ruled by a hereditary monarch that like rules with an iron fist over the island, and then now it's a state where people there have equal rights as dictated by U.S. law, dramatically increase economic benefit. Like, I'm sorry, they are better off than they otherwise would have been. This is the case with most places in America.
So to Gibbs's point, why aren't we just taking over everywhere and making everywhere?
That's a good question.
They would agree to our bribe. I'm not opposed to it, but Greenland. The reason why Greenland.
But if they don't agree to our bribe, if they don't agree to our bribe, we're going to sanction them. We're going to tariff them. We're going to do low-key wars, and then we're going to try to coup them. So it's like really, you're going to have some savage dictator taking them over, whether they want to or not. Look, and you're just saying
the war is where I think goes too far.
Higher GDP.
Yeah, I know. I think the war goes too far. I agree. But the reason why Greenland is, I think, such an opportunity is because it's such a small population over such a large piece of land, right? We have literally 57,000 people roughly, which is like the size of a U.S. town. Right, like
this is smaller than many military bases.
Yeah. This is a.
Why does China take Taiwan? Why can't China take Taiwan? I'm very confused about this.
Okay, with Taiwan, we literally have millions upon millions of people. When it comes to Greenland, we have 57,000. Let's think about this for just a second. Well, that's the point. We're talking about bribing individual citizens.
Who cares?
When we're talking about bribing individual citizens, like the costs increase exponentially.
And if they don't listen to the bribe, we're going to tariff them. We're going to sanction them. So let's not focus on like the bribe part.
57,000.
Let's focus on the part where if they don't.
That's my proposal. My proposal is bribing them.
Yeah. But that's not. You're not.
There's another aspect of this.
What's actually happening is Trump is saying we're just going to go take over the land.
Yeah.
So why can't China just go take over the land?
How many people? This is another point. Like,
how many people are in Venezuela?
Even though I am against using military force here, like we're talking about 57,000 people. Like, at what number of people do you start like rolling your eyes and saying, why do they really get to claim all of this land? 25% larger than Alaska and 57,000 people. What if it was like 8 people? What then? We got to bribe all 8 people, or can we say like? Kind of fucking ridiculous. You're not really a community of like you're talking. It's such a small group. Like look at Taiwan.
So you can just take over Venezuela millions of people. Iran millions of people. You say it does.
No.
Russia should just have Ukraine, right?
No. Again, when we're talking about all of they should have some parts of Ukraine, but we're talking about all of Ukraine. We're talking about a distinct ethnic group made up of millions upon millions of people that like have their own societies, have their own communities.
Not the way Putin sees it.
No, even the way Russia sees it. Even their proposals of peace have included Ukraine being an independent country, joining the European Union, all these things. Yes,
but just not the parts they want.
Not the parts full of Russians. Yes.
So then why can't China have Taiwan?
So if they wanted to bribe Taiwan, if they offered a price to every Taiwanese person,
they just want to take it. The Taiwanese don't want to listen to the bribe; they just want to take it.
Then I'd be opposed to that. In the same way, I'd be opposed if we just went and took it.
Yeah.
But if they want to bribe them,
if they don't listen to the bribe, like obviously,
I don't think we're going to launch a military invasion. I don't think we're going to launch a military invasion. And if we did, I'd be opposed to it. And if we did, I'd be opposed to it.
Through tariffs, we're going to do through.
We have a right to do tariffs. What, you think people have a right to our trade?
I don't know how much tariffs.
Wait, can I read this letter before we go? Okay. It's actually funny.
Oh, okay.
In a very embarrassing way. In a very embarrassing kind of way. Yeah.
Let me read.
This is your leader, by the way.
Let me quickly read this super chat and then go straight to you, and then we'll go to Corey, then Gibbs. Okay.
You say that a lot.
So just give the super chat. Thank you, Watakai, for the $10. Awfully kind of you. Thank you so much for the support. It says, hey, Prime, why can't we afford reparations again? I don't know why either. I don't know why we can't afford reparations.
I'm in favor of reparations.
It has an answer for us.
If you guys were on Greenland, maybe you'd get it.
I'm in favor of reparations.
Yeah, everyone but
Americans
get their fucking reparations.
He told the black population to self-deport to Greenland, and then maybe we'll give you money. That's what he just said.
Unironically, if you guys all, like as a group, moved to Greenland and then voted to leave Denmark and join the U.S., I would 100% be okay with paying you.
What if they gave? Yes. Hey, you know what? They never got the 40 acres. Hold on. You know what? There was never the 40 acres and a mule. What if we gave them interest and we gave them that land in Greenland?
Okay, I'm gonna read the letter now. Just to be clear, although I support getting Greenland, I don't agree with everything in this letter. The only reason I'm reading is I think it's an important context. So this is a letter apparently to Norway.
Okay.
Quote: considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. Although it will always be predominant, but can now think of what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we've had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have total and complete control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. So that's the letter. That is the current position. I have some problems.
Sent that to Norway?
To Norway, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
God, I love it, bro.
Well, there's some problems. Okay, like some boats are. I mean,
how was the U.S. found?
You know what boats?
There's some problems. There was like a Mayflower, if I remember correctly.
No, we'll just sit in the fucking Enterprise up there or something. Now they carry the Gerald S. Ford. That's the boat that can land there.
I bet you the fuel cost of sending the USS Enterprise or whatever fucking carrier group we have to Greenland would cost more than bribing them. I bet you. We tally all.
It'll probably be close. I bet it'd be close.
Yeah.
Let's go to our friend Corey. We can expand on this letter later on, but I want to get Corey in.
Okay, this is just a quick question. Okay, tangentially. So Gibbs, if I remember correctly, in your opening statement, I think you brought up that Venezuela had like the best missile defense system from China. Is that?
No, they have the radar. They have the radars from China.
Yeah. Okay. The radar. Okay. So I'm just curious, just to sort of assess, and maybe I'm wrong, but what are you pointing to the best missile or radar defense system from China?
What are you at? They had two.
What is it?
Russia's is the S-400. I don't know about China.
Yeah, I don't know what the Chinese off the top of my head. It was one of the newest ones. Chinese. I can tell you.
Wait. Newest or the best? Yeah. Now you seem to be refining things.
Well, I mean the newest.
So did Venezuela have the JY-27A? You might want to look that up.
Venezuela has deployed Chinese-made radars, including the touted anti-stealth JY-27A.
Okay. Now, what is the difference between the JY-27A and the JY-27V? Google that.
There's different letters.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this: why would I?
This whole run, I kept hearing this that like Venezuela had the best Chinese defense systems. It's like I don't know if China gave Venezuela the best Chinese.
Apparently, they had high tech Russian and Chinese defense.
What does high tech mean? What does high tech mean?
Apparently,
because the Venezuelans
had the best ones that China was willing to sell.
No. Let's go back. Let's go back to. So, what is the difference? What is the difference between the JY-27A and the JY-27V?
Well, let me hit you with this before I answer that, and this is important.
Okay, let's go back to your opening statement. Did you say that the Venezuela had the best Chinese radar system? Was that what you said in the beginning?
Okay, sure. I will say this. I said they had the best. Yeah. But listen, if you want to play ticky-tack semantic wording, they had the second best. And I'll clarify, they had the best, the ones that they were going to put on the market and sell to other people, because you obviously keep your best shit to yourself. That's why they're terrified over there.
Oh, okay. So they didn't have the best Chinese radar system, right?
Okay. Are you implying that the one they're touting and selling everybody, that they're trying to say, oh, this competes with everything the Americans sell everywhere else? Then when they sell it and we go in there and it doesn't detect it, that looks good or bad for them.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying your claim is factually wrong.
Okay, factually wrong. Okay.
Yes.
Listen, I know you don't want to take your. Okay,
if you want to go back and relitigate, what did you say? What did you say? What did you say in your opening statement?
I'm really proud of you.
You didn't even know the radar system. What was the radar system again? Can you repeat it back to me? What was the model? Come on, Gibbs. What are the numbers? What are the letters?
The model that they have is JY27A right here.
Okay, and what's the difference between JY27A and JY27B?
I haven't pretended to know the difference. Nor do I give a shit.
Exactly, because you just throw claims out and don't back up anything. Just like the last topic of all this money funneled to the Democratic campaign, millions of dollars. Okay, that's all. You don't know what you're talking about.
I know. Hold on. I know what you think you did there, and I know you think you did something. But all you've really done is you look like
what was I wrong about? What was I wrong
let me finish. I just let you talk. When you're done. Okay. So what you've done here is really just look like a jackass. I've never sat here and I've come on many times and said I'm not going to do the Destiny, Andrew Wilson, ticky-tack, pick a word and debate it. Cool. You got me, bro. I said the best, and I should have said and clarified perfectly that it was the best of the ones they sold. I didn't think I needed to be a jackass and really specify that China was going to. Hold on. I'm not done. I didn't know that I needed to be a jackass and specify that China clearly didn't sell them their ace in the hole. I was saying that they were sold them some good shit, that they were saying it was good shit, and it looks like it was dog shit. And you're over here trying to play ticky-tack word games over the word best. All right, good one, bro.
Okay, I'm happy for you. So Lactroid, is it a word game? The accusation of thousands of dollars versus millions of dollars funneled to the Democratic campaign. Is that a word game to you?
I mean, he already agreed with what I said. He already agreed with what I said.
Yeah,
across the nation, millions of dollars is not underestimated by that.
Yeah, if we're talking about
Canadians are so conniving.
Well, wait, am I being a jackass and a ticky-tack jackass by pointing out that there's no evidence of millions of dollars to the Democratic campaign? Would you characterize it as that?
There's evidence.
But that's not the. But I think Gibbs would admit there's currently no evidence of that, right? Yeah.
No, I would agree with that, but that's why we're investigating, because it looks like there is evidence.
And just to be clear, if I remember correctly, Venezuela did have advanced systems from both China and Russia.
I never said that.
Yeah, but the problem is, sure.
Yeah, the best ones they were selling.
But my understanding is that they didn't optimize it correctly. Apparently, these systems require some levels of expertise to operate
and staff,
and staffing and stuff, which countries like China and Russia have. But countries like Venezuela, I guess, over their heads.
Let me just read what Business Insider says. Here's a link. This is what Business Insider says. Venezuela has a number of China's JY27A mobile radars, which Beijing has touted as top-of-the-line systems. Seems like it pretty much sums up what I said.
No, it actually doesn't at all.
Top of the line? What do you think top of the line means?
I don't interpret that as the best.
It means the worst, folks. Top of the line doesn't mean the best. It means it's not top of the line. What does top of the line mean to you, where you're from? Can you explain to me what top of the line means?
For me? Something, yes,
top of the line?
but not characterized as the best. For me.
What does the word top mean? If I'm on top, what does top mean? Top. If you're a bottom and one's a top, and who's what? What does that mean? It means one person's on top. They're the pinnacle, the highest point, correct?
Yes.
So if there's a line and there's the top of the line, what does that mean? It's the top, the highest point, correct?
Yeah, I'm not disputing that.
Okay, I rest my case. I feel like this is why you don't argue over semantics, because it's basically like digging two graves, except one for your left half of the brain and the other for the right.
Sure.
So here's another reason why we need Greenland. We don't want China and Russia selling Greenland air defense systems and developing trade relations with them. Like we can't risk that shit, right? We were able to. China did attempt this, by the way, pretty recently. I think in 2018 or roughly around there, where they were trying to pressure Greenland into some kind of trade deal with them, and we did flex our diplomatic muscle and say, no, you can't do that, right? And we did pressure them to stop that trade deal. But there is a question of let's say that pressure becomes greater and Greenland over time becomes let's go ahead and work with the Chinese, whatever, and then starts integrating more with China. I mean, that is a national security, that is unacceptable from a national security perspective, having Chinese bases in Greenland. Honestly, I think that at that point it is unacceptable, especially what if Greenland declares independence and then starts making deals with Russia and China? I mean, at that point, would you guys be opposed to an invasion?
Hold on. So
why not nip it in the bud and just buy them now?
I got multiple problems with this. One, we got bases in Greenland. We have so my understanding.
Have one base.
We have one base,
and we want to make it Space Forces.
But I believe, and again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but what my understanding is that there are other bases that we just abandoned.
We have,
that's the point I wanted to make actually. Indeed. That before we got sidetracked with the top of the line bullshit. But this is the point: is the population. Their population is what 57,000. I saw 66,000 somewhere. Whatever. I'm just going to read you 5. Right now. Yeah, I'm going to read 5 bases in the U.S. and these aren't even the like CENTCOM or like AFRICOM or like the biggest ones. And some of them, some of these are the biggest, but some aren't. Right. So Fort Bragg's got a population of 238,646 with an area of 163,000 acres. Right. Fort Campbell's listed at 234,914. Now this isn't even counting, according to this thing I'm reading, it's not even counting contractors. Right. So this is like arguably 3 to 4 times the amount of people living. And Space Force wants to put their headquarters there. And that's not talking about the other bases we've abandoned since the Cold War. I saw the hype at the Cold War that said we had 10,000 plus and not counting contractors. So we put there. So that's a fourth of their population was already there. And we're talking about expanding. And we're not even talking about what the mineral rights like stuff's going to look like. Say we go in there and start digging, and I don't know who, a mining company off the top of my head, Caterpillar, I guess they make mining equipment. They go in there, they're going to start building, the mining the rare earth minerals. And then we're going to have contractors. I mean, overnight, the population would be more than what the normal Greenlanders would be there. And so, like, yeah, I feel like the buy-in is obviously the answer if we can get that the first way, right? But if they don't want to go with that, what are they going to do about it?
Well, okay. Well, let me finish where I was going with this. Thank you for that, Gibbs. So, okay. One, I think that Greenland is critical for quote unquote national security. Let's all say it. But like, yeah, I mean, like in terms of like strategically where it's at, and then of course, the resources. I don't put resources into national security. I think it's I can't put that because there's some like strategic minerals and stuff. China controls with the lithium, I think, and I think Greenland has some big deposits of that. And they're untapped because the Greenlanders don't have the ability to exploit those resources. They're just sitting on the ground. I think it's something worth it to be said that like to actually tap them, that would take billions upon billions more of investment, tens of billions of investment to actually get it out, right? And that wouldn't be for like a decade or two. Like it's just how like they're at the very start of this. So just something to keep in mind though. That adds to the price. So just remember that. But still, I think while I do think it's critical, I don't think that it requires buying it like at all. They are well within our sphere of influence, and they are eager to work with us, right? Like this entire time, it's like, okay, we can relook at take another look at our treaty, right? The Europeans are with us there. Like, yes, we can take another look at the Arctic treaty. It's not like the Europeans weren't thinking about the Arctic. They've all been thinking about the Arctic. Especially the North Europeans, right? They've been thinking about this the entire time. And so if you're saying, okay, well, our big brother America will have need a bigger foothold within the Arctic to project force to protect us, yes, they're going to agree, right? There's no reason to think otherwise. So I reject this idea that it just has to be part of the United States. That's completely false, right? A false choice. But taking it from the other direction, right? That our friend Lacto proposed here, talking about like, well, what if the Chinese actually put a base on? So somehow the Chinese managed to do that. They get a base there, right? So that's unacceptable. Sure, that seems unacceptable. I wouldn't be comfortable with that, right? But also, the Chinese shouldn't be comfortable with our bases in Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Australia, right, Taiwan, or maybe not on Taiwan, but like
they
around
have
Taiwan.
To be.
Yeah, like
they're not comfortable with our bases there.
They are. Well, we have encircled China, right? Right. With the Russians, and you've brought this out as well, friend. Right? We've had those missiles pointed at Russia at various points in history, right? Nuclear tipped missiles pointed at Russia. It makes powers nervous when that happens, right? But America freaks out. Oh no, someone else can't be able to project force anywhere close to us, because then that would be the end of the world, right? And so this invites this kind of behavior that America engages in, invites others to try to do the same to us, right? We say, hey, we've got you surrounded. So like, if the smart thing for you to do would be to place a missile system somewhere within easy reach of our capital, right? Like that's what we invite when we do this other countries.
They're going to do it anyway. No, yeah, this idea that like countries operate like a neighbor, where if you tit for tat, like they're et cetera. That's not how they operate. Countries operate as self-interested governance bodies, and they're going to do what's in the self-interest of their country when they have an opportunity to do it. You think that if we didn't encircle China and then China had an opportunity to like put bases in Greenland, they'd be like, well, America's been pretty nice to us thus far. Well, let's not do that. They're not going to do that. If they see an opportunity to put bases on Greenland, they're going to take it. Just like when we've had the opportunity to surround China by putting bases in Korea, in Japan, as you pointed out, Taiwan is essentially, a kind of U.S. involved. We deny it publicly, but we're definitely involved there. Vietnam is one of the biggest purchasers of U.S. military armament because, they feel threatened by China. And so, yeah, there's kind of this weird relationship where a lot of the countries that we're supporting there do feel threatened from China because China also has imperialistic ambitions. But by doing that, we're also, from China's perspective, stifling their imperialistic ambitions, and also for them creating, national security threat. For sure, I can see why they would believe that. In the same way, I can 100% see why Russia would believe it when we keep expanding NATO and why when we add Finland to it, when we've been adding countries to it consistently. I understand on a pragmatic perspective why countries operate this way, but the question comes down to, where do your loyalties lie? Like, are you behind when it comes to these sort of questions of national security and national hegemony? Not talking necessarily about like self-determinations of peoples, like that's totally different. I'm talking about in terms of, if we're going to have global powers, who do we have loyalty to? And for me, the first country on the list is America, right? I want America to be secure more than I want China to be secure. I want America to have economic advantages more than I want China to have economic advantages, because fundamentally, China does not operate on the kind of views and alignments that I value, right? I value American Western ideals. I don't value Chinese collectivist ideals. And I don't think the world would be more benevolent if China took the reins of power and replaced us as the global superpower. I want to stop that from happening. And we should.
Yeah. So what I don't align with is American imperialism. I don't align with imperialism in general. I would never ask for China to replace us as a kinder, gentler imperial power. No, right? But I am for the weakening of the American hegemony. America has proved to be an awful steward of this, right? We've the violence that we export around the world under the guise of a national security, right? This being another one of the situations threatening violence to a country, right? Just because we say so. America's proven it's not a trustworthy. America, the largest arms dealer in the world, right? Exploiting violence and death everywhere, and then self-congratulating itself for the morals it purports to embody, right? Which consistently are shown to not be worth anything. So no, I'm not in favor of America hegemony, right? Which is why, paradoxically, right, watching this all play out kind of works in my favor, what Trump is doing. Trump is dismantling American hegemony at every point in turn. He is destroying our alliances, right? Destroying our relationships to other countries. Those countries are realizing what I've been saying the entire time. What I've been saying the entire time, that America is completely untrustworthy. Do not trust America. We will betray you at some point in time. And we'll say it's for national security. It just had to happen.
Yeah,
there was no choice. There's no choice to
that's not
go
what we're
back
communicating.
to words.
Well, here's
no. I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish my point. I'm going to finish my point.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So it won't be too much longer. I do want to hear what you all have to say. But yeah, America has been destroying those relationships. People don't trust us. Even the allies who thought like our relationships are absolutely solid, right? We keep threatening them. We threaten them with the tariffs, right? We threaten them with like going against the NATO alliance. We threaten them just by being an erratic power that they can't actually rely on at any point in time, right? Even things when we're like when we're in negotiations, right? We are negotiations with our enemy, right? Iran. They came down to the table to negotiate a new nuclear deal. We literally bombed the negotiating table. We literally killed the negotiators, right? So America cannot be trusted, and Trump is displaying it right in a crystal clear fashion, and so the world is turning against us. Though the world is moving against moving away from our economic ties, right? The world is finding alternatives, right? Our friend Corey brought that up, talking about like the Chinese Canada deal that's happening, right? We've seen that in terms of like the tariffs, how countries are like their industries are moving their deals away from American suppliers to South American suppliers if they had it, or anywhere else. The world is healing. They're moving away from us, and in the end, like making America's footprint smaller is probably a good thing.
Yeah, but that's not what's happening. I think it's a fundamental like. I disagree. Like what I think is happening is a new realignment, right? Like I see countries that are somewhat nationalistic now kind of like rising, some countries that don't want to do this UN globalist like one kind of international order thing, countries that feel like they've been getting fucked and they could be looking at like, and I'm going to use Poland as a good example of this. Poland has been heavily militarizing, right? They're one of the few countries that's been paying heavy on into the NATO the whole time, right? They have now just recently, I think last year, negotiated a new strategic partnership with the U.S. You notice they didn't send a contingent to Greenland, right? We also see Italy. They just came out and said, "Oh, this looks like a bad idea." It's the start of a bad joke. I'm seeing, and they also had like recently had a nationalist kind of person in charge. I don't know about the new person now, but I'm just seeing this trend where countries that are like, okay, clearly the established international order hasn't worked. And some countries have been living high on the hog. Like there's a reason why these countries can afford to have universal health care. It's because they don't have a military.
And it's
because we're their military.
Order, though? Like the established international order. You're saying the international order
isn't like UN, like the UN and NATO.
Yeah, but we're at the center of that, right?
Yeah, but and I'm saying, yeah, and I think we tried something, which was this neo-imperialism after World War II, and I'm saying I think that didn't work, and I think countries now have figured it out, and there's countries are realigning. And I'm seeing that's why I'm saying like Poland. Poland wants to be much more aggressive with Russia, but they, and we like, hey, we would let them do what they want if we aren't going to get automatically brought in by Article 5. Like if Poland wants to go to war with Russia, I say fucking let them. And that we shouldn't be obligated to go over there, but we should be allowed to send our weapons to them. Why should we be going to do this? So I just see these countries are all deciding, hey, it's a free for all. Let's pick sides, and that's why like Israel's teaming up with us. Saudis are getting in good with us. They're all about to make power plays, and I think that's what's about to happen. It's not going to be one World War III. It's going to be like a bunch of little wars.
I want to read the super chat. Then I want to direct a question, not the super chat. I want to direct a question at Lactoid, and I know Lactoid wants to jump in from there. First, my listening library says Gibbs is mad that the country of Norway didn't give him the Nobel.
That's right. I should have my Peace Prize.
Thank you for the kindness. Once again, my listening library, all the kind of you support us that way. Hey, Gibbs might be in line, right? They gave it to that Venezuelan fraud, and like the Nobel Peace Prize means nothing. Yeah, right. So like, if she can get it, there's no reason my man Gibbs shouldn't get it. Right? He wants peace, right? Peace under the American banner, right? Why not? Yeah.
Once we have Greenland, there will be peace.
Once we get our way, there'll be peace. I agree.
Our nukes can reach them in 5 minutes instead of fucking 30.
So a question I want to direct at Lactoid, then you can take it from there, and anyone else can jump in as well. You Lactoid at the very start, I think in your opening statement, you talked about how the Europeans are upset about what's happening in Greenland, right? But as per their token force of descent, right? They're smaller than us militarily.
Yeah, they care a limited amount, really. I think, I don't know how much they really care about this.
I'm not 100. I think they're more upset than you think they are.
We've been wanting Greenland. We've been demanding Greenland under multiple presidents for a very long time now.
We haven't threatened military action against them. That was never on the table. So like this is a different thing. There's a qualitatively different moment in time. But back just to the question very quickly. You specifically brought up how they are smaller than us militarily, and you are indeed correct in that, right? Yeah. Well, do you want Europe to be a major military power again? Obviously the British had like the largest empire the world had ever seen. France was a major empire. Germany to a certain extent, right? Like there was Belgium, right? They were major imperial powers, but they've all shrunk. Like our friend Gibbs is saying, there was a realignment after World War II, basically handing America the reins, right? And the Europeans, the ones who are so bloodthirsty, started 2 world wars on their continent, right, and killed tens of millions of people in the process. Those people, right, they disarmed. So Lactoid, right, in this case, in this time where America has shown itself to be untrustworthy, America is going back on its word. America keeps making threats to our allies, right, who've been loyal to us, as far as I can tell, right? Do you want them to rearm and become a military power that might then actually be a problem for us in the future?
I think some of them have been loyal. The ones that have been meeting their obligations have been loyal. The ones that have not met their promised obligations, like Germany, are not loyal. They're freeloaders. And there's a long list of NATO allies that have consistently missed that, going on for a very long time now. I repudiate these countries.
I agree with Trump, pushing back on that. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. So yeah, I think that there are. To be frank, though, there is also some countries that have consistently met them, including the UK. My understanding is countries like the UK, Estonia, have been very good at consistently meeting their military obligations. That comes under being a NATO member. So this doesn't apply to every one of these countries, but there's a significant chunk of these countries that are, I think, disloyal and really only see this as sort of like a way to. They look for ways to skirt the rules in order to enrich themselves. Now. As to the broader question, though, of do I really care if Europe is, rearmed? If they instead start to handle more of their own defense, yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Europe doing that. I'm fine with Japan doing that. I genuinely believe that we live in a fundamentally different world than we did in World War II. I think that right now the multipolar levels of power is going to be in America, of course, as the number one. But then you also have them rising in China. You also have them rising in Russia. And I think that countries like Japan, or continents like Europe, and really the EU sort of operates as like a supra country federation sort of at this point. I'm perfectly fine with them saying, look, we have responsibility for our own defense. We are going to rearm. We're going to defend ourselves against whatever threats that we perceive. Fine. That's fine.
So then
give us Greenland.
That sounds okay. Fair. But that sounds like what I was just saying then, right? Because what I was saying, hey, I'm fine with America, their sphere of influence shrinking, right, as a hegemony, because we've been an awful steward of the world. I'm fine with that.
Right. To address, it depends what we're talking about when it comes to sphere of influence. Okay. If we're talking about the military-industrial complex having its tendrils in every other country on the planet and running their defense. At the expense of the U.S. taxpayer, I am absolutely opposed to that. But if we're talking about controlling critically important and soon to be very critically important shipping lanes throughout the Arctic that we can start charging tolls for and leverage, yes, that is going to be, I think, more effective for the economic well-being of the American taxpayer, which is what I'm interested in. Not these kind of like fancy ideas of, well, if we give some, Eastern European country, $200 million.
That's all I ever wanted for any of our conquests is the economic benefit of the American taxpayer.
Oh my God! So
but we could do that with this Greenland thing. Is what I'm trying to say.
I feel like you're not pennies on the dollar. Maybe I'm being unclear, right? Okay. And I'll assume that I am, right? I'm saying like the EU becomes a new separate power with its own ambitions.
But
they already are economically. Just to be clear, they already are.
I think I see the disconnect.
Yeah, but not militarily, and
but
that's
not militarily.
Yes.
Yeah, but just because they get stronger doesn't mean we get weaker. Prime. I think that's kind of where like me and Lactoid like disagree with you. Right?
If they decide he's saying with us, and
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how I don't think so. Right? Okay, we're just talking about China not selling the best tech. Right? Mm-hmm. We sold all these countries the F-35. You know what we don't sell? The F-22. We didn't want anybody to get the F-22. Right? So, okay, why? Well, it's our fighter killer. It's the best thing we got. And now we're building something nasty, right? And so what it looks like, right, let them try to catch up. They're like 20, 30 years behind. They're using the tech that we sell to them, right, at the minimum. And so it's like, let them catch up while the groups that want to stay close to us, like Poland, are going to want to say, hey, I can have either the best tech I can, and I get it from the U.S. and I can work with them and back them, or I can work with like Germany, who's starting from zero. You know, who are they going to pick? It's not like we're going to get weaker. It's like we're going to get stronger because we take over Greenland and they don't have any military support from EU, us. Correct? They don't have a logistic behind us, huh?
Poland's part of the EU, correct?
They're like talking. Yeah, but they're mad at the rest of the NATO because they're not doing enough.
And they're going to be ones that disagree. But what I'm talking, look,
right. So what I'm saying is, we picked the nationalistic ones to seem like realignment. Like NATO, we've seen like we've broke away further from countries like the UK while getting more in bed with countries like Poland, right? Like militarily, right? But there's ones that are recognizing our names and shit like that.
But even then, like America is going. So all you're saying, what it sounds like to me, and maybe I'm wrong, and you can correct me, right? All you're saying is that, okay, let's form new alliances, right, with a smaller number of individual countries in the EU territory, right? The ones that are currently aligned with us, right? We'll give a new treaty,
which breaks up the big country, which is NATO as one.
They're also they're not going to leave the alliance either, just to be clear.
Yeah.
They're
not,
but they're just going to become more contributing members of it because they realize they can't. What's going
to happen is you're going to have competing allegiances. You have countries like Poland who are going to want to be like team up with the USA. They might token be in NATO, so they're going to get benefits from both. But then when push comes to shove, they're going to pick us, right? Or there's going to be competing alliances. Or they don't recognize so you're going to have different groups within that. Well, you already see it happening. Poland's already at odds with them.
This is a bad idea. This is like now we're like
having weaker groups.
Competing.
How does that make us weaker?
We're having competing treaties, a web of competing treaties.
What's stronger, all of the EU together,
the European continent, and just waiting for a conflict that divides them. Right? We've never seen that happen before on the European continent before. Okay, great. So
for us,
and what you're saying is that hey, we'll use Poland for example.
We're giving Europe the Middle East treatment right now.
Yeah. Oh boy.
That's
even better. Yes. Hey everyone. Let's turn nuclear armed Europe right into the Middle East. That's a good idea.
Taking their nukes. I agree.
Let's do to Europe what we did to the Middle East, right? Nuclear armed Europe. Okay, great. So you're saying Poland?
I mean, it's already happening.
Hey, you should form a treaty with us, right? At the same time, we are violating a treaty with the NATO alliance. I think Poland is a part of the NATO alliance. So we're violating a treaty with Poland, right? To form another treaty with Poland and say, hey, this one, no, they will definitely
do this all the time.
This one, no, this is the good one. That other one we were faking, right? No, for this one, yes, this one we're going to follow. Again, the U.S. is untrustworthy. Donald Trump, to his credit, because it works for my
countries do this all the time.
Is proving that again and again. And it's ridiculous that we can crack the EU alliance, right, for an untrustworthy, irresponsible power like ourselves.
And well, hold on. It's going to be countries that interest align more. If ours and Poland's interest align more, for example,
now,
right, than the rest of the for now, exactly. Well, that's how all history is. Every country switches alliance based on what's best for them and the other countries at the time. Like you're acting like this is like
short term.
It's just not it's not untrustworthy. It's just like that's just what they do.
No, I hear you. No, you're correct on that. But I think this is extremely a short term alignment.
I mean, but so I guess my problem that I'm having, like I know that we disagree that this is a good or bad thing, but I guess the argument that I'm saying is, let's just say that like NATO does like break up or have like their like contributing groups. Say like Europe and Germany and France all start to like contribute, right? And they form their whatever. But like you have like groups like Poland and some of Italy and some of these others that are not going to be working with them as close anymore. Wouldn't that make it two different groups that are not individually as strong as the whole, which is NATO? Right. See, it's not like we're going to get weaker. It's like they're going to get weaker, and we're going to gain strategic land and power and resources we didn't have before.
I hear you. That would be a more weakened position. You're correct if that's how it broke out. I think there's no reason to believe.
So then, when we have more power, like wouldn't our hegemony be stronger?
They get so much benefit more from power being within the EU. Right. And of course they're sharing borders of these people. There's no reason to do that, to break that up in favor of the US, right? In favor for an ally who may not come to their aid when they need it, right? Who is shown to himself to be completely untrustworthy.
But that's all allies in history.
Donald Trump,
never know that. Allies
that's
are really
not the
come.
case. It's not the case. America has been extremely trustworthy. The reason why we can even have this world that we're living in today is because America, the entire time for the 70 years, was actually quite, at least for the NATO alliance, right, in terms of our relationship there, was quite trustworthy. And other alliances, no, not so much, right? But for the NATO alliance has been rock solid, as far as I can tell. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Rock solid for the entirety of the time, right? But now it's under threat, right? By who? By America. By Donald Trump. Thank you, Donald Trump.
But interests have changed. Like that's kind of what I'm saying.
No, they haven't.
I don't think it's
untrustworthy. They have not changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing. How has anything changed?
But Prime,
Greenland is still Greenland.
But you love this though. But you love this, right? Because what NATO really is like, it's an extension of U.S. imperialistic power, and it's the way for the military-industrial complexes to profit off of not just the U.S. U.S. taxpayer, but also grow large off of other countries and then use that to influence U.S. politics, right? And so, like once again, this is maybe where me and Gibbs diverge as well. I'm not a huge fan of the military-industrial complex having so much power in U.S. politics. I would prefer, them maybe be a little bit more subordinate to civilian industries and civilian leadership.
Well, let me ask you that, because I guess this is where the point of contention I have with Prime, and I'm not sure that I really explained it good enough. But okay, all right. So do you agree that the U.S. doesn't necessarily get weaker if NATO breaks up into like balkanizes to some extent, right? If NATO balkanizes,
the U.S. doesn't necessarily get weaker, but
we don't get weaker. Now, do we
arguably?
Well, let's just say hypothetically.
Hypothetically,
if we go take over Greenland, or we take over Greenland, right? We take over Greenland, and it causes fracture.
Even if we invaded. Even if we invaded,
let's just say hypothetically,
I don't think NATO's going to balkanize.
Let's say the member states that have the token force now what is it? Norway, France, Germany,
we
UK. I think it's 7. Let's just say those countries balkanize and break away from the rest of NATO and form their own thing. Let's just say hypothetically, right? All right, this is now going to be a new European power. This is kind of what Prime is arguing. He's saying it's going to make the U.S. weaker because we don't have our tendrils over there. I'm saying I think we actually get stronger because these two groups are weaker on their own. One group's still going to buy from us. We're going to have Greenland and all the economic benefits, all the military benefits. I don't think this is going to make our hegemony weaker. I think it actually makes our hegemony stronger and our power protection even bigger. That's kind of where I'm not understanding how we get weaker.
I don't know. I don't know if it'd really make us stronger. I'm skeptical of that. I just don't think it's going to happen. Right? I think that they're going to build up. They're going to build up, like potentially in response. Say like, oh look, obviously we don't want to be pushed around or whatever, so we're going to like build up our shit, which is great for us because now they're spending more to defend themselves, which is what we've been doing for them for God who knows how many fucking decades now. We've been paying for that shit, and they've been underpaying for that shit. But even once again, if we roll into Greenland. If we send the military into Greenland, and what's going to happen? This is my prediction. If I'm totally wrong, then I'll eat crow. But I don't think I'm wrong. All the soldiers there are going to immediately surrender. There's not going to be any actual bloodshed. Nobody's going to shoot each other. There's going to be no real combat. The overall island is just going to come under U.S. jurisdiction or occupation, really, immediately. And then there's going to be a very angry statement put out by Denmark. They're not going to leave NATO. Nobody's going to leave NATO. They're just going to be very upset about it. They're going to say, this sucks. This is awful. There's going to be like, complaints. There's going to be some shit in the UN. And eventually over time, people are going to just slowly become okay with it. That's what I think is going to happen. That's my prediction.
I think there might be some bloodshed. Maybe I'm confusing Greenland with Iceland, and I may be wrong. So if I am, I apologize. But I think Greenland is pretty well armed. I might be confusing with Iceland though, but I'll look it up.
No, Greenland's not.
I mean,
around.
we have a base there,
wrong?
so I guess they are well armed in the sense that we have shit there.
No.
They themselves are not well armed. No.
No. I'm not talking about like a military. No. I'm talking about like personal arms, right? Like people like.
Oh, you're saying some like redneck and it'll come out and. I mean, that's possible. I'm sure there's some guns there.
That's what I mean.
Maybe like fight seals every once in a while, right? It's possible, I guess. Yeah. I'm skeptical that like anything beyond those kind of isolated events are going to happen. And there's not going to be combat between uniformed soldiers, and the government of Greenland's not going to. Yeah,
there might be a skirmish. There might be like they move in, they shoot, and then they're like, "Oh God, we're getting shot."
No. They're going to see they're going to see they're American soldiers, and they're not going to shoot.
Well, what if we hit them in the middle of the night and they don't know what's? Hold on, I think they're
not going to. Why would we go in the middle of the night? This isn't fucking Maduro. Like it's
who
Germans.
Knows? Hey, I'm just saying, wild shit could happen. You never know. Like there's like one commander who's like, "I'm not giving ground" or something.
Okay, I will say this: if Trump launches a night raid that leaves German soldiers dead, that would be a pretty big, much bigger like diplomatic faux pas than just taking Greenland. Actually, I think that would be a big issue at this point, right? Like, because then the question is, well, hold on, you just killed a bunch like German uniformed soldiers that are part of the same alliance as you, and
what's a whole bunch? Like, what if it's like one?
But like, still, that's like a quarter of their whole military force in Greenland. We just wiped out 25% of their fucking capacity.
Wait a minute, the U.S. does massive bombing runs in like fucking Syria when like one U.S. soldier gets killed.
Yeah, those are accidents though. The collateral damage accidents. We have a way.
No. I'm not talking about accidents. When the U.S. when a U.S. soldier gets killed by like some ISIS like terrorist.
Yeah, but Germany can't do a massive bombing.
You do massive bombing raids. Oh, maybe you're saying the killing the Germans are accidents. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure we've accidentally bombed like UK soldiers before, actually, and
probably like in Iraq or something. Yeah.
No, I know for a fact. Like, I forget which Middle Eastern conflict it is, but it did lead to like a small diplomatic incident where we did accidentally blow up some UK people. I mean that sucks, but as long as it's truly an accident, which obviously it was, we weren't targeting the British. It's workable. But if we intentionally strike and kill German soldiers.
Or like, I mean, I'm not even saying intentionally. What if we're like, okay, we're taking over the contingent. We like go in there and like one soldier on their side, like, I don't know, pushes somebody, and then like one of our guys is like, no, that's my boy, and shoots him. Like I could see something like that happening.
I don't even see something like that. Like they're going to go up to you.
I mean, that's like that's a real worst case scenario.
I don't know
about special forces.
What he's saying, okay, so look, I think we all essentially agree with what the Lactoid said, right? That there will be essentially no bloodshed,
no violence,
in case of I agree there. But like what I'm concerned more about are the consequences to our alliances, right? To our treaties, right? So I think this is to be a huge blow, right? Once again, probably works in my favor. Doesn't work in America's favor in general. And so it's weird that America firsters, MAGA people, right, are just like cheerleading this on. Like if they're so concerned about America being number one, being on top, they should understand the way we've been doing that has been through these alliances, have been our ability to project force. Right, like these alliances gives us bases that we put soldiers on and we project force through. If the NATO alliance starts collapsing, right, and they're like, okay, we're going to build up our own military forces, maybe a united EU army, right? That could be a possibility, right? If they do that, then they're like, well, why should we have American military presence here, right? Why don't they start throwing them out, and then they become a competing power. Now, again, that works for me. But I don't think it works for you.
No, I don't think. When you say competing power, competing over what? We would already have Greenland.
I bet you. Hold on. I bet you I can sell you on buying Greenland right now by military force. I bet I can sell you. I got you now. You ready? All right. Okay. So we earlier we talked about reparations, right? Okay. Yeah. Who were the group that was one of the first groups that brought most of the slaves to the United States and the West Indies? It's the Danish, the Dutch. Oh. It's Denmark. That's who was bringing them, right? Back in the day, they were bringing them over, and during that time period. Well, we're always talking about who should pay reparations. We should just take this from them and say it's reparations, and then we can do like Lactoid said and give
Say
them
it's
the land
reparations for
there,
who?
and we can buy
The black people who aren't there.
The Danish are going to give them the reparations they deserve.
I don't think black people would want to move to Greenland.
And we can take it by no. Well, hold on. They don't have to move. They can just be given the land. They can do whatever they want with it. They can rent the mineral rights out to like
rent.
We'll give them mineral rights.
Yeah, America's going to give the mineral rights to black people.
Why not?
That's what America. Why not?
They owe.
Okay, I'll say that Gibbs. If this is the only way we can actually make it work and sell it to like, but hold on. The Greenlanders aren't going to like this because now their land is owned by American black people.
No, they're getting bought out. They're getting $1 million, and they can keep where they land right now.
Yeah, but hold on. The current deal is they get bought out and they get to keep their land. Like they literally, it's nothing but upside for them.
Hold on. So hold on. Dude, it's Greenland. Greenland, as far as I know, is mostly ice and underdeveloped. Especially that's part of the reason why we're going to go in there, right?
Yeah, all the people live in like one little.
Nobody's got claim to all this fucking bullshit land out in fucking the middle of the Arctic. Which I mean,
they got some boats there, so they go.
Well, yeah,
they haven't homesteaded it.
They've homesteaded all of it. They looked at it and they said it's mine.
Look at Alaska. They have homesteading, right? If they're homesteading,
we bought Alaska.
But from what I understand, right now you can go homestead in Alaska if you go out somewhere. Build a home.
The homesteading act's been gone for a long time now.
Yeah, whatever. They have had it. We can use
the
that
purpose of his argument.
We can use it as an example. They've had it in the past. Listen, if they want to homestead some land, I'm okay with that. There's a lot of land there, and we can just give it by a random lottery to the people of slave descent, right? And then they can get the reparations and whatever's there.
Get some
if there's minerals,
land.
then they can get some mineral rights, and those people can get rich. It's all luck. Luck is fair. And guess what? Then they get their money back from Greenland.
I've got a better idea. This is what we do, Gibbs. We send a bunch of refugees or illegal immigrants to Greenland, okay? And while they're there, they open up fraudulent child care centers and funnel the money to Greenland politicians that support American interests. And then over time,
I'm in.
No,
you guys are just mad that you had to work hard to get to where you're at, and the Somalis
absolutely
open up a daycare.
I've been audited.
You know what? That's the American dream is to just come over here, open up a business, reap millions of dollars through government grants, and never have to worry about it. Never look.
Can I ask you?
I got audited one year.
Would you guys be opposed?
Go ahead. They go. Oh, you owe 67 cents. And like they sent me this thing, ridiculous. And it was like a whole letter, and they were like, "We're going to like charge you with XYZ crime," and because I was off by like 67 cents after an audit, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll write you the check right now." But it's like I went online and paid it, But it's just like, bro, if they're gonna audit me and like come up back, 67, like this is bullshit. Like it's infuriating.
Would you guys be opposed to the American purchase? Would you guys be opposed to the American purchase of Alaska? Let's say you lived back in the day, and it's like, oh, we can buy Alaska from the Russians. Would you guys be like, no, we shouldn't use American money buying Alaska?
What was the life of the average American back then? That's like I mean, right now, yeah. When we're talking about like purchasing and all this money, and it's just honestly, I'd rather see some money go to Americans rather than consistently sending our money over fucking seas.
Hold on. First of all, like Prime said, if we get this for $6 billion, we've given just under $200 billion to Ukraine already, and people pretend that's nothing. We're talking about $6 billion, and we get Greenland, which is going to pay for itself.
That's like 3 fighter jets.
Yeah, with the shit.
Yeah, but fighter jets. What does it benefit? It doesn't benefit me. It doesn't.
It does.
Benefit
We're gonna.
It doesn't.
We get
it doesn't.
fees.
I'm never gonna see the fucking benefit.
Yes, you are. We're gonna get fees off of the tolls that we're gonna charge for those.
You're not gonna get shit. That's the issue.
The government is. We're gonna pay down the debt.
The
government is. We're gonna pay down the debt, but we're not gonna see.
If they don't pay the fees.
Also, the American spending, like as a percentage of GDP, has been going up consistently. Like this idea of like, we're not spending money on our people.
I don't see this.
Entitlement spending is the number one expense.
I don't get what you guys are even fighting for. What you guys even want when you guys keep talking about like
we want Greenland. I thought we made it very clear.
It does not benefit you. You still have to go to work if we own Greenland. You have to go to work. When's the money going to get to you?
No, it is. It's going to.
Oh, it is when.
Yeah, no, it's going to at some point. It's going to benefit me, and it's going to benefit you.
At some point, yeah. Well, like Iran's going to benefit you. How?
And here's the other thing. I know this. Here, this is going to sound like a meme point.
Venezuela,
but there actually is some point to it. If we look bigger on a map, people are going to have more national pride, and the world's going to fear us more.
No, they're not.
Yes,
not
they
when
are.
They fucking can't afford their food or their rent or anything. All this fucking
but it's more money.
American imperialism.
Americans are better off. Americans are better off than they've ever been.
Stroke his dick on American imperialism.
Americans are better off than they've ever been. Hold on, we are better off now than the people were alive at the time they bought Alaska.
No one gives a fuck about what happened in the 1940s. They're broke now. They're just because they were better off.
They were more broke back then.
They're broke now.
And if we listened to their fucking poor logic, we wouldn't have Alaska.
No, hold on. I'll tell you how it helps normal Americans. Okay, let's look. There's 66. Let's say there's, hold on. There's 60,000. Let's go with 66. There's 66,000 people in Greenland, right? All right, Greenland. Let's say everybody gets $1 million. So now those Greenlanders have their businesses where they live, their town, whatever's developed. These people
I'm going to be racist against Greenlanders if they each get $1 million. Fuck.
Hold on. You say that.
They're going to have $1 million.
Hold on. Let me tell you. Hold on. Let me tell you how you're going to get rich, Ollie.
It benefits me because we get the mineral rights.
Ollie,
we look bigger on a map.
No, Ollie. You want to know how you're going to get rich? I'm going to tell you how.
Idiots.
No. I'm going to tell you how you get rich. Greenland is cold as fuck. Right? It's covered in ice. No one wants to fucking live there. That's why it's been fucking settled for hundreds of years. And only...
Did he cut out for anybody else?
Did he mute for everyone or just me?
Yeah.
We can't hear you, Gibbs.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go.
All right. Greenland, right?
You got to rewind like 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Listen, so Greenland's been settled for hundreds of years. It's frozen. It's a miserable place. There's only 66K people that live there after like 4 or 5 centuries, right? Okay, cool. Now, what can we do that's going to be good for the average American when we take it? Well, they have natural resources. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to send people there on like we do on oil rigs, and they're going to get paid like hazard pay. They're going to get paid whatever. Then those people are going to come back rich as fuck. And a lot of those people don't have higher education. They have trade school degrees, or they worked in the oil field, or they're miners. So your average person is going to get rich. Then we have all the military bases going to get built. And then you're going to have all those contractors. Those are average people. Military people are average people. So all this money is going to be coming back to the U.S. from all this investment, and we're going to be getting richer and all this supplementary business. Maybe you live in, I don't know, Chicago.
So like 7 people get richer, and then like 6,000 Greenlanders, and I just have to
We need shipbuilding. Shipbuilding's going to get richer. What about all along the East Coast, all along Texas, all those shipbuilding? All these people are going to have new jobs for the trade routes that are going to open up. Like, it's just tons and tons of development. You're going, nobody's get richer. But it could honestly, I know Corey's going to laugh, be millions of people that get richer from this.
So, correction. It's not 3 fighter jets. It's 3 destroyers, U.S. destroyers. The Arleigh class.
Big distinction.
Arleigh Burke class destroyers are from 2.5 to 2.7 million.
Million or billion?
No, sorry, I said billion.
Okay.
I said billion.
Yeah, and they've been a joke, those destroyers. So, like, it would have been better to buy Greenland and then not buy those destroyers. Those destroyers
fighter jets cost between like $80 and $110 million each. A lot of fucking money. But anyway, still,
even the military.
That's not the Greenlanders.
Even the military would agree that those destroyers were a fuck up, and Greenland would have been a better purchase. They'll tell you probably themselves.
So we should buy Greenland. I think we're
all in agreement.
No, I'm definitely.
I think we're all there.
Well, no, actually, I'm not opposed to you making the offer. I'm just, as I said in my opening statement, I think you're just dramatically underestimating, like how much probably I don't know for sure, but Greenlanders don't want to be part of America. And if you're willing to spend 50 billion or 60 billion, but even then, I would still contend that I don't think Greenlanders should trust Americans to even really honor that, or there's no reason to trust them.
So what did you say? You said
we can't even get our own stimmy that was promised.
Yeah, we've given 3 stimmies. If we gave $1 million each, you said that'd be what, 40 billion total?
I think that's $50 billion. 50 to 60 billion.
So a quarter of what we spent in Ukraine, roughly.
Around there, yeah.
And we get Greenland.
Yeah, 60 billion.
As opposed to nothing, but like a bunch of dead people. That's pretty good.
Like, I mean, look, I don't see how it's just such a steal. Like 60 billion. I double checked. If we gave each Greenlander, like man, woman, and child, right, $1 million.
We'd only need to bribe the adults, the voting age adults. We wouldn't even have to bribe the kids. We're saving more money right there.
Okay, let me ask you this. I saw one package floated, and it was an economic package. Was one of the arguments, and in it, Greenlanders were going to get money between 100K and $1 million. But then they said it was going to cost $1 trillion total over 10 years. Would you still be on board then?
Sorry, is it me or who? Corey?
Anybody. $1 trillion total over 10 years of economic package to buy Greenland and like
$1 trillion total?
give Greenland and give Greenlanders what they want, and then Denmark is going to get something out of it.
$1 trillion total? That's a lot.
Over 10 years. Over 10 years.
I no. Then I'm with my friend Ali. I'm like, let me put that money into America. Like, not that like it wouldn't probably be worth it. We probably make there like in terms of assets, we probably make it back eventually. But like, I'd rather that trillion be invest in America now. Yeah. Like we can. There's other ways to invest that money into.
Well, okay, I guess what the question is then: what is the highest number? What about like 500 billion? The amount that's like we're accused of fraud in every year. Right now, right? So 500 billion.
The Somali fraud. Oh my God! So many rich Somalis.
It's everywhere.
Why not let the Somalis buy Greenland? Right? Just let them buy. They got the money
to afford it. Yeah,
they should be able to afford it, bro. They got $9 billion.
What if the Somalis decide?
Yeah.
So Gibbs, are you in favor of the Somalis buying Greenland?
Listen, if they can make them a better offer, more power to them.
I mean,
we got outbid by Somalia. That'd be a very
not even Somalia. Somalis in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Not even all of the actual country. Just the Minnesota.
I don't know, Fran. I don't know where the upper limit is of like where I think it's worth it. Like, I mean, I understand what you're trying to say. Like, you know,
60 billion, like, you're worth
a threshold. Yeah. I mean, 60 billion, I think is well worth it. Like, that's like well within my
150 billion
buying power. 100, 200, 300 billion, like I mean, I guess, but then it also like I hear what Gibbs is saying in terms of like the money eventually filters down to us, to like the resource that we get, but like that doesn't filter down fast enough, right? Like if it's only 6 billion and then like eventually gets to us, all right, that's enough, right? Whatever
the second part.
There's also the assumption that you can just like take the resource and just accept. You have to build up. I'm pretty sure I'm not an expert, but you have to develop some infrastructure and like actually get.
I mean, but that's going to make money though. Yeah. Like that's
some of those Greenlanders are probably going to.
Yeah, but like if the money over the long term, as in like if, and I'm not even sure that it's actually fully quantified about how many resources are there and like what the actual worth is.
I'm sorry, what is Greenlanders going
to? If the worth is like 50 billion, but you end up spending 100 billion to get it, it's like
but who's
if we give Greenlanders all this money, what are they going to spend the money on exactly?
Well, so I guess to Corey's thing though, right?
Does it mean anything if they each have $1 million? Like the money?
My actual prediction, by the way, is if you gave $1 million each, a large amount of them are probably going to move somewhere where it isn't like fucking hell to live.
No,
you're probably going to get like the
opposite. No. So what's going to happen is these Greenlanders
are going to leave.
They're going to get up and move to Miami with $1 million.
No, watch. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Well, some of them sure.
So now you want 6,000?
Hold on. There's a portion of them. That's nothing. Hold on. Here's the thing, though. Some of them are going to stay.
Well, you don't need to get them to vote. You just give them the money. They'll voluntarily leave. Then you
after they vote because we need the island.
No.
But they're all gone. You can just walk in.
This is so frustrating. Y'all are missing the bigger thing that's going to happen. Some of them are going to leave. A lot, sure. But the ones that stay are going to be the new Greenland royalty, right? They're going to be the ones that start businesses. They're going to be the ones that start towns. They're going to be the ones that are running for office.
They can't start towns. They would have done that before.
They didn't have $1 million.
They didn't have $1 million. Here's the other thing, and this is actually combining Corey's thing. Is who's going to build that infrastructure? Well, who's going to build that infrastructure first? Let's just say, I don't know. We'll use Exxon. Exxon decides they're going to start going into the lithium game. They're going to go, okay, we're going to build this mine. And they build a mine, and then we're going to need supporting infrastructure, like, I don't know, refineries or something for it, right? Or whatever they need to manufacture. Then they're going to build that over there because it's close. Then they're going to go, we need the seaport widened so we can get bigger cargo ships. Well, then they're going to hire a company to build the seaport. And then eventually you're going to have supporting businesses built around those businesses, and you're going to have people immigrating there, right? So you're going to have this outflow of people that want to leave. And then you're going to have the big people that live there already are going to establish businesses in towns because they have money coming in and infrastructure being built. It's just going to be a feedback loop of success. I just don't understand how y'all are going, we're not going to benefit as Americans.
So
I just don't understand why no one has developed the land before. Is it just Europeans don't give a fuck about money?
I'll tell you exactly why. It's extremely hard to do so. This is what I was alluding to earlier. Like I mean, because of the extreme temperatures, and then like, so there's the extreme temperatures, but yeah, okay,
and we're not.
So, but
we're gonna be like, eco.
So there's the infrastructure to like literally do the mining, right? But there's also the infrastructure needed to support the infrastructure to do the mining, meaning like roads and towns and electricity, right?
But as it melts, it's going to get easier.
Get there. That's true. We're working on
seriously.
That.
Like we should prepare for global warming in this way because it's going to happen.
I agree. No, I agree. Real. No, it's fair. But like I'm saying, like there's so little infrastructure there, right? Like it's not like, you know how people are complaining about AI data centers showing up right in their town, right? But like that's putting a data center right next to your town. That's a lot of infrastructure right there to support the data center, right? There's a whole town. There's places for people, the workers, to go and to sleep and to eat and shit, right? And then there's power lines that you can hook up there and shit. Yeah, exactly, right? Water lines. That's all there. That's not there. For Greenland, right? You have to put all that there first, and then the mining, right? Like there's a lot.
Well, no, you don't.
So it's not easy.
No, you don't.
It'll be expensive.
Like, I think it's the opposite. Look at like Midland or that's in Texas, right? They're towns in the middle of nowhere. They're pretty big towns, right? So what happens is these people go out in the middle of nowhere, these oil guys, and what do? Well, I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out to the middle of nowhere. What's your
Greenland's
well, how do you give? Oh no,
Greenland and Arlen, Texas are the same thing, bro. What do you mean?
No, hold on. You're telling me Greenland with its freezing temps is very different. Yeah, it's different to like environment, but like hostile wise, if you're gonna send me to a place where it's 132 with like a heat index, like that's miserable.
With supporting infrastructure. No, hold on. Let me just.
No. Gibbs. Here's where you're running it. Like there's a difference where most of Greenland's under a glacier. Which means that like you can't dig for groundwater, like you can't setting up buildings is different.
It's also I believe not part of the continental United States. I believe there's like an ocean or some water.
That's never stopped us.
Could be wrong.
So if I'm going to go there,
big water.
I'm going to go there and work in this environment. Well, okay, and I'm saying I'm getting paid $100K out in the middle of the heat in Texas where there is infrastructure, or you could get infrastructure, right? And you're telling me this is even worse. What are they going to do to get that person out there? Oh, they're going to pay him $250, $300K.
They're just going to pay him more. It's going to be more expensive.
Now, okay, I'm in a miserable environment, and I got $300K in my pocket or whatever. What do you think I want to do? Well, I want to spend that, and I want to make my life better. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to start trying to find businesses that are open up close. Oh, there's no business. Well, suddenly now there's a market for that business. And then I'm going to go as a Texan go, hey, you know what?
How do you build a business on a glacier?
If I hire a bunch of Guatemalans, hold on, to go buy a taco truck out in the middle of fucking, I don't know,
the Arctic. Taco trucks.
I go, okay, cool. Now that we're building taco truck, it's this kind of shit that's just what capitalism does, and y'all are pretending it doesn't happen.
Greenland should become America. Taco trucks and McDonald's and oil rigs.
You're gonna have development, but I think Prime is correct that it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to cost money, and you're going to have like the biggest players I think get involved. Like if this is going to happen,
it's going to be a boom.
You're going to have ExxonMobil, like BP, ExxonMobil. You're going to have like the big giants actually have to get involved in order to really get this thing rolling right.
They're going to demand subsidies to do that, right? Because they don't have guaranteed profits at the other end. But I mean, like I'm saying, you won't like that, Lactoid.
I mean, I won't like the idea of subsidies, but once again, like if I don't even like the idea of taking money and paying Greenlanders, like in the abstract, but when you have to, in my mind, you have to look at what you're getting, and you have to look at like the overall calculation. And in my mind, if the calculation is like, okay, unfortunately, we got to pay money, that sucks, but what do we get out of it? We get critical things for national security and the national economy that is like overall like very beneficial to the country to like some dramatically outsized amount. I mean, sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to what?
What do you think it would cost actually go and terraform Greenland to the Exxon playground?
No,
what do you think it actually costs in subsidies and so on and so forth?
It depends. That's a political question. Like how much we could not subsidize it at all, and we could just sit on it, and then 50 years from now, when the glacier melts, And we lose some coast in Florida or whatever. We've made it up now with some more land in Greenland, right? We didn't shrink. I don't want our country to shrink.
Well, technically less. There's no more ice.
Well, right, but we got more land, is what I'm saying, right? Like in terms of actual
I don't know
dirt.
the calculation.
I'm sure we'll get more dirt. I don't know the calculation either. I'm sure we got more dirt, and that's important to me, the amount of dirt my country has. And so if we have a whole bunch more dirt north of here that we can then more easily economically exploit the resources of, then we're setting ourselves up for the future, right? This is our retirement plan as America. And
but that's part of the problem. Okay, so like please forgive me, I am not an expert on like the mineral the mining conditions of Greenland, right? But I'm just gonna start reading things, right? So from Wikipedia, right? Greenland is often portrayed as rich in rare earth minerals, but experts argue this promise is largely illusory, as mining remains limited due to high costs, lack of infrastructure, and minimum local refining capacity. Although the island does contain resources, similar minerals are more abundant and accessible in other countries like the US, Brazil, Vietnam, and China, making Greenland an uncompetitive option. The EU has urged Greenland to restrict. It goes on. It says like,
and those other countries are much
bigger
because
they don't have people.
But there's still more, right? Like actually, like what's there and what we can get. Those are two different things, right? So this is a Gemini.
The other thing is,
let me just finish.
I already admitted it would take a long time.
So this is but I'm like making this clear for the audience as well,
sure,
right?
Sure.
So this is a Gemini search, right? I asked like what's the estimated value of Greenland's mineral resources, and it very much varies, right? But if you look at a total geological value, theoretical estimates suggest Greenland's known mineral and energy resources could exceed 4 trillion. This includes vast untapped reserves of critical minerals, oil, and natural gas, right? Economically viable value under current technological and regulatory conditions. The realistically extractable value of those minerals is estimated at approximately $185 billion, right? So yeah, we might be able to get rid of some eco regulations, true, right? But like the realistically extractable value is going to be so much less. So you asked me, Gibbs, how much would I pay? Well, I wouldn't pay. I mean, if this is around the estimation, right? I surely wouldn't pay $200 billion, right? Let's say double this, right? If we get rid of the eco regulations, it's double that.
Also factor in the control of the trade routes too. That's more valuable, probably.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. It's also like, the control of the trade routes, the military.
This just like adds up. It adds up a lot, and I don't know how worth it this is, especially again, not to fight for it at all, but like to pay for it.
But I mean, there was a key thing that like you read through, and I think you'll even agree. Okay. I think you even paused was the regulations aspect, right? Like if like I think a comparable place we can look where we're making bukus of money hand over fist is Alaska. And Alaska still has a lot of untapped resources that's only now being opened up, in the last recent years because they're opening up like land and that was used to be national parks and shit. And we're not really having that hard of a time getting out there and building stuff, right? Like they go out there, like this is something Exxon and these other companies are like familiar with. What's holding them
Alaska covered in a glacier? I actually don't know. I'm asking the question.
I mean, Alaska does have.
I don't think as much as,
but it's not.
If it is, it's not like Greenland. But
they have permafrost.
I don't think it is.
They have permafrost. They do. Yeah, they have permafrost. They have like a lot of the hectic weather that you get in the Arctic. I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1 comparison. I am saying it's comparable, right? They have some experience, and now that we're deregulating, we're seeing them like going up there and like building all this shit, and people going up there and getting paid. And what are we seeing? Well, right now in Alaska, I don't think anybody questions that Alaska was a good investment. We took it from Russia. In fact, what is it? I think the population is 8-to-1 men to women in Alaska right now, or some crazy number like that. And it's like, yeah, it's still low population growing, but the massive amounts of wealth it brings in, and then like he said with the trade routes, then you factor in military, and then you mentioned it right there when you read Wikipedia. no refinery. I literally brought that up. Was imagine when they start building the refineries. When they start building the refineries, they don't have to ship it off the mainland. That's when the real money is going to start coming in. Because then we can start doing stuff like they do in Texas and Alaska, where they tax like the oil, but in this case would be the natural resources, at the mine, right? So when they mine it out, it's taxed theirs. Then you refine it. That can go back to paying people there, and we have all sorts of more money. There's all sorts of better ways we can do this, and then plus all these other different benefits. I think it's like y'all are like down.
I just again, these are Gemini searches, and if I'm wrong, like I'll take it back. Right? It says 80% of Greenland is covered in glaciers, while 5% of Alaska is covered in glaciers.
I'm not saying I'm saying it's cold. You know, like it's cold. It's a
but
similar.
They don't deal with
I hear what you're trying to make the comparison. I understand what you're trying to do, right? But friend, like that's a lot. That's a lot of resources under a shit ton of ice. Like it changes the dynamic.
What if they like figure out? I mean, it's always new tech, man. Like fracking a few years ago didn't even exist. You know what I'm saying? Like
I hear you. But I'm just like looking at that.
Yeah, but then it goes from 60 billion to like, I think that's why you were getting at it, Gibbs. That's why you were getting at, hey, it's probably going to be realistically like a trillion over 10 years.
Yeah, a trillion. I think
you guys willing to do that? And then Lactoid was thinking about it. He's like, I don't know. It kind of feels like maybe in the future it'll be worth it for this $1 trillion.
This is the point I wanted to make earlier, Ollie, though, right? Let's just say it's the 500 billion. Let's say it's 250 billion. Let's say it's the half. You said between 250 billion and 500. And so that's in 4 years of fraud. If this is the half of what he claimed is true, 4 years, you would have paid for Greenland over 10.
I mean,
like, you see my argument, and then all this new money's coming in.
But Gibbs, that's us dealing with 4 years of fraud at $500 billion a year, plus with the cost of Greenland. It's like we're going to stop the fraud once we buy Greenland, right? It's just an added cost to the fraud, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like we have so many fucking problems here. We're listen, Somalis in Minnesota can buy Greenland tomorrow because of the fraud we're allowing them to do. I think we should solve those problems first.
If we find 500 billion worth of fraud,
half a trillion.
Let's say if we find 500 billion worth of fraud nationwide, let's say over the next 2 years, all right? Let's say we find it and we convict people. Okay. Every dollar that went to those fraudulent programs, everyone that was allocated should go towards the Buy Greenland Fund. Are you in?
No, I think it should come back to us, the Americans who got.
It wasn't going to us before, so at least now it can go.
Fuck Greenlanders. Why should they get any fucking money?
Will you take that deal?
I'll give that. I'll take it.
That were frauded.
All right, fine.
We can do business, Gibbs. You and I.
That'll work.
All right. On this, is it?
I mean, as of right now, we get fish mostly out of the current economic production of Greenland, so that'd be pretty good.
The fish! We haven't even talked about the tuna. The tuna
and shrimp.
They're going extinct.
Do you like shrimp?
They're going extinct.
I do like shrimp.
We could own all the shrimp.
We can reduce the price of shrimp.
I love
we get
shrimp.
Greenland as well. I don't think we fully factored in the
until we find oil off the coast of Greenland. We then we'll
have oil.
And then with American eco policies, we start like mining that oil, and then we're spilling oil into the bays, right? And then contaminating the shrimp like we do anywhere else.
It's pre-grease.
Yeah, we'll just have to build them better.
Yeah, I really do believe like there are moments where, like with Alaska or with Hawaii or even with Manifest Destiny, where if you go back in time, every single time America's expanded. I think all of us here would be like, if you could have our opportunity to go and take that back, I don't think anybody here would say, yes, we should take that back, and that should not be part of America. Every single time it's happened, we've been like, yeah.
I would go back and abolish the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and I would have kept the rest of Mexico.
Okay. Besides Gibbs, because of his Texas nationalism, for looking
should have
back
kept all of Mexico.
For the rest of us American nationalists, we
real
believe
Americans.
Everyone here on this panel, besides Gibbs.
Hold on, this is American nationalism. That was the Mexican-American War.
Oh,
we gave them back half their country after we conquered it. We should have.
But the broader point of like, I'm glad Texas is part of America. I'm glad, however much I laugh at them and I think their government sucks, I'm glad California is part of America. I think it's good that, we have that piece of land.
That's Guadalupe Hidalgo.
I think that it's good that we have Colorado. I think it's good that
Why
we have
don't
Arizona.
we own Canada?
I think it's good that we have Hawaii.
Why not?
Why don't we own Canada?
I actually have a question for Corey.
Serious question.
Why?
Seriously, how did we avoid?
Because the British were kind of strong.
We did North America.
Because the British were there, and they were kind of strong up there. Yeah. That's the only reason.
Oh,
if it wasn't for the fact that the UK was a world power and we kind of had this tense relationship with them, we would have had Canada, no doubt. In fact, Polk actually had drawn up some plans about what the overall plan of America was, and it included most of Canada.
Was right about a lot of things. We should have took Canada.
I do want to buy British Columbia so we can have a one big contiguous, we can connect.
Highly unlikely.
How much would you charge for that, Corey?
As in, so if I'm just going by myself, what's the price tag for me? Because I agree, for most people, there's going to be a price.
Yeah, let's say you live in BC. What would you accept?
Well, it depends. If I'm living northern BC as opposed to Vancouver, okay, where cost of living is pretty high. But if I'm living in Vancouver, you probably need to pay me I don't know, $10 million, $100 million.
$10 million?
I don't want to. To label myself as American.
No, but you could leave. You would vote, and then the BC would join America, and then if you wanted to, you could leave to some other Canadian province.
No, I'm still somewhat mildly nationalistic. I still want to be Canadian.
Okay. You're nationalistic.
I feel like you take for granted leaving one province to another.
I don't know why this is a difficult concept for Americans to understand. Americans are highly nationalistic. Other countries are nationalistic. Yeah, it makes sense.
But for Canada,
when another country is proud of it, there is some countries
Canadians are pretty proud.
Why would anybody be proud of their country?
Why?
Yeah. I understand Mexico more.
I don't see why Americans are going to be
you don't see we're a very important country.
You can be important, and also doesn't mean you have to be proud. I would not be proud to be an American personally.
Well, hold on. You would actually fight in a war for Canada?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. If there were boots on the ground, I would totally sign up. Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Why wouldn't people fight? Hold on. Why?
Wait, would you sign up for boots on the ground, Lactoid?
For Canada?
No, for America. Would you fight in
America
a war?
was genuinely under threat. If America was genuinely under threat by some power that I thought was bad, yeah.
It would give them
if China launched the warships, the war junks are invading.
That's an interesting caveat he just put in there, right? But this gives him a chance to fire his guns at humans, which he's always dreamed of because he's a conservative. And so of course he'd do that. But interesting you say, hey, it has to be a power you disagree with. Are there any powers you would agree with that you would roll out the red carpet?
If Lieberland launches an invasion of America and is successful, I would not resist. Correct. I would be.
That's fair.
But realistically, any country that could invade us, and this is a massive if because I don't think any country can invade us right now. But if any country would invade us, like China, I would defend America. But I just. And I don't mean to shit on Canadians, but it's hard for me to grasp people who are of these smaller, less significant nations having nearly as much nationalism. I understand it with maybe the Chinese and the Russians and maybe even the Japanese or the Indians. I kind of get that.
Lebanese people.
Who wakes up one day and is I'm going to fight to death for Belize. It's why?
Well, even though obviously we share many commonalities in the United States, our values are not totally in alignment.
They won't.
As in the value system is just different, and you say it yourself of Gibbs more explicitly wants to pretty much have the world have American values, and you say yourself
you're right. It feels like you're part of us already.
To some, I already said there's overlap, but absolutely there are some unique. There's a reason why we have public health care here, and that's pretty much a non-starter in the United States.
Yeah, because we put the bill.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why. Yeah. There's a reason why you can smoke cannabis, all across Canada. You can't in the United States.
Because we're fighting wars.
There's a reason why I can have a Kinder Surprise in
Canada. Okay. Here's the deal.
There's a reason why.
But this is we're getting to policies. I'm more focused on the idea of this.
Those policies are driven by values.
Well, hold on. Let's say we made an offer to Canada. You're a state, and every policy that you have, you're like a more autonomous state, right? Every policy that you just described, you get to keep the Kinder eggs, you get to keep the pot, you get to keep all that good shit. Okay. Would you
and,
really
and the abortions and the abortions?
We got plenty of abortions here in America.
About that very statewide.
Yeah, that very statewide. So your state could have the abortions.
Okay.
Would you oppose this on like, no, I have this greater idea of Canada that I want to defend, or is it more of just a policy preference thing for you?
Well, it depends, because like, if it's just like you get to keep the current status quo, but then you no longer have say, or like that's subject to change, as in subject to including the will of the American people, then that would be different. That would be a different calculation for me. As
Doesn't
in, I would
Canada
want
recognize the king and queen of the UK, so they're still
Yeah.
technically already doing.
yeah,
it.
we are. Yeah,
So they're subservient already. Like,
That's
they would just be,
that's a good
they would
point.
just be swapping.
Yeah, we
so
swap
what's the
them
fun of
for
it?
us,
Yeah.
and we're
Well,
better.
that's more symbolic to a certain ceremonial.
Oh,
Like,
Well, nationalism is mostly symbolic.
yeah, true.
Yeah,
But
so like
at the
for
end of the day-
example, like
at the end of the day-
when I look at
I want
American,
Canadians to be
Yeah.
in charge of their self-determination.
no,
to express
I
their
no, I
values.
understand that. I understand that, but I'm saying that like when I look at an American flag, like I feel in the bottom of my heart like pride, like that our enemies
Gay.
fear us, that we get the world by the balls, that kind of like
That's
like the
yes,
lion
you're
does not
largely
concern
conservative. Is
ourselves
that
with
you want
the
you want to
opinions.
induce fear. That's
That's
all.
right.
That's actually the whole point of Canadians
Sure.
don't want to induce fear.
But,
Yes.
right, but when you look at like the
Bro,
maple leaf,
y'all, half the
on.
war crimes in the Geneva Convention are because of Canadians. What do you mean y'all don't want to introduce fear?
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, you don't know the
Half?
Canadian thing? You know what the Canadians did?
Canadians have been up
in
to a
World
lot
War
of war crimes.
Yeah, they were like famous for their war crimes. Like, throwing them food,
That's
and then when the
crazy.
Germans went to go get food, they threw grenades to them. Like that. They were like invented tons of these in like during World War.
Shit, maybe
Like,
we don't
that's
want
why
you guys. What the fuck?
Yeah,
What's up with
yeah,
that?
they're famous for the war crimes.
Even Lactoid's whole mindset of like when he looks at an American flag and he's
Yeah.
proud of like whatever for other countries to fear them. That's
Fear,
not
yeah.
a mentality that many other countries want
Sure.
or even desire to have.
So you look at a maple leaf, and what is the feeling that you get?
It's
syrup.
it's a more collective, as in I would say a greater sense of whatever, loving thy neighbor type of thing, as in like being proud that like we have a public healthcare system and that we have a better overall welfare system, as in we actually, I would say, overall care for one another and slightly less individualistic, or rather we try to strike a balance between not being hyper individual, but also we recognize there's some value to collectivism.
So like warmth and the sort of feeling of community is what you see when you see the maple leaf flag.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. You don't, but there's no sensation of power, or like dominance.
No,
Yeah, and that's okay, Lactoid. That's okay that people don't feel that. Like that's like, I mean,
I just can't relate. I don't understand.
Listen, if you want to feel that way,
I know that's the whole point.
Lactoid just needs to feel masculine, and he feels masculine
and like
because
you
his
need
government
to overcompensate.
The American flag is gender affirming for Lactoid.
True. Actually, yes.
Gender affirming care.
Yes, we are the masculine. To the
I'm American. I'm a
Canadian
man.
feminine.
America's a man country.
I also think, unironically.
By the way,
Canada
this
should
is the
probably be
man
part of
who's
the
saying,
US.
he's all about proud and dominance, too afraid to take off his shirt, by the way. Never
I
forget
did
that.
it. I just got money out of it. Because I'm an American and we're capitalists.
Yeah, like cowering in the corner.
No, because we're capitalists.
He wanted to hide behind his American
All
flag.
all of our books are $1 cheaper than yours.
You're an OnlyFans girl.
Didn't factor that in, did you?
I
didn't factor in that you were an OF girl. No, I did not factor that in, Lactoid.
Wow, that's pretty heteronormative.
Think about the Greenland OF photo shoots. That's what we can really be getting right there. The glacier photo shoots. New industry.
So I wanted to say one last thing. I'll wrap it up from here. But you were talking. Actually, I'm not sure. Either Gibbs or Lactoid asked, like, would you be in favor of like the past purchases previously, right? And I am in favor, like specifically like Alaska. Like I am in favor of the purchase. Alaska's been like. That was an amazing deal too, right? Another fantastic deal for the U.S. So I'm definitely in favor of the purchase in of itself. However, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing something, then I do apologize. Like the money went to the Russians, right? The money went to the Russians.
Yeah, we paid off the Russians
like,
for Alaska. Yeah.
But the Russians didn't own Alaska, right? There were natives in Alaska.
No, they settled.
Well, they killed most of them.
No, there was a bunch of Russian colonists there. Yeah.
No, but I mean,
yeah, like because they killed the Aleutians. Yeah, they killed all the Aleutian whalers. Yeah, they killed all of them.
There were other. I don't think they were extinct.
No.
Oh no,
there are Native Americans currently in Alaska.
They took a major hickey. You know, there's Aztec.
Did they die from the Did they die from the Russians or did they die from the smallpox? This is like the classic question. Probably diphtheria or whatever.
It was the Russian whalers.
Sorry, are there no Alaskan? They're Alaskan natives. There's like a category.
There's a lot of Alaskan natives.
They just took a big.
Yeah, there's Alaskan natives. So like sure, like you give a push to Russia so they don't like fight us for it. But also like the natives should have gotten some of that money. That's my problem. I don't know.
BIA, we give
the Alaskan natives.
We give so many grants to these Native American tribes. It's crazy.
I don't know if that's a direct one. I think that might be different. Actually, I'm not going to fight it because I don't know the scale. I don't know like what the exact terms of those agreements are. So I'm not going to fight them for now. But it seems to me that like in terms of a direct purchase, and I'm curious for how long it took to get those grants and whatever in place. Right?
While, yeah.
Seems like
we paid the Russians. That's what the purchase was. We paid the Russians. They packed up and left. And then we took
just like we and maybe we need to also pay Denmark. I don't know, Denmark and the Greenlanders, right? So that they don't bother us with this. That's fine. I'm okay with a purchase as long as all interested parties get a taste, right? And so if the Alaskans didn't get a taste, or
they do get a taste,
the people living in the fucking the Louisiana Purchase, right? Like if they didn't get a taste. That's a bit of an issue, as well. So
Alaskan, I looked this up because I was curious. So they don't do as good as some of the people there, but only because of like there's a lot of like outside like the like white people execs and whatever. The highest income is these people that are like the higher ups in the oil. But what I'm looking at, it says Alaska Permanent Fund dividend pays all Alaska residents, including natives, $1,000 to $3,000 per person. The average person has got makes
their
about
oil dividends,
between
right?
70 and $75K a year, so it's higher than the national average. And then not only that, native corporate investments, regional village and native corporations provide significant income to them. So it looks like they're doing pretty good. And then they can also apply for their normal benefits from the federal government.
Socialism I don't think works out well. I would agree.
Well, socialism would pay for by capitalism.
Socialism. Well, hold on. No, the collective, the social. They sell things under socialism. And so that still happens, right?
But they're taxing. They have a natural resource that they're paying at the tap, and then that's paying UBI because it's like they're basically the only reason why they're out there is for the oil. Like nobody wants to fucking live in Alaska. It's like
I'm not sure. That's
40 days. 40 days of night out there. That's just like people
like Alaska. People like Alaska. Hold on.
I think Alaska's got like the highest.
There's like a fucking Juneau. Like there's a whole goddamn like major city there.
Hold on. They have like the highest suicide rates. I'm like 90% sure.
I don't know. But as you look that up, we can wrap things up here. And you
one of the highest.
You can tell us during your closing statement. Thanks all for being here. This was fun. We were all over the place. We were stuck on Greenland. We didn't actually talk about. Well, actually, no, that's not quite there. We did talk more about like the larger like NATO alliance, but we didn't talk more about like Cuba and Iran. We didn't dig into that stuff. But this current crisis that Donald Trump, the peace president, has put us in, won't end anytime soon. So I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to talk about it again. So thank you all for coming in, to my audience, and then to my guests here, my incredible guests. They're fantastic, guys. If you like this content, consider following the channel. Follow the channel or supporting by any means necessary, right? To super chats or gifted memberships, right? Get the subscriptions on Twitch. Help us out, much appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm going to give an outro to all these amazing individuals, and then we'll head out. Start with my friend Lactoid.
TLDR, I also want Cuba, but I don't want Iran. It's too far away. You can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
Would you take all of the The Caribbean.
Yes.
All of it?
Well, Gibbs would certainly. Yeah. Why not? Why stop at Cuba?
Well, historically, there was plans to annex Cuba, by the way. I'm pretty sure also by Poland,
Yeah.
but a few people.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
Maybe. Well, if you ask me, like, would I take the whole world? Probably. But, like, do I find it to be realistic?
Yeah, like, I mean, like, a realistic part of our sphere of influence.
If someone
like
donated you the whole world, would you take it? I guess.
Yeah, I would take it. Yeah, donating the whole world, sure. But, like, for Cuba, Cuba's a tough one because, like, I'm not a huge fan of the embargo. I don't think it's been working. I mean, that's been going on for fucking how long, and it really hasn't, like, done anything.
They're still kicking.
They're still
any
kicking.
day now.
Any day now. I'm a little bit skeptical that I think that maybe making them more dependent on us is the better way, because that's sort of what we've done with Vietnam, and they've been moving kind of away from China because of that, and also pressure from China, right? So if we instead we were super close, if we like open up our trade with Cuba and like try to make them as dependent on our industry as much as possible, then maybe they're we'll liberalize. I don't know.
I think that's always a better idea. I think Donald Trump is also damaging that within the world as well, right? He's destroying like American monopolies on industries, like by denying like our rivals access to our technology, and they're like, okay, we'll just make our own. That keeps happening multiple times, right? It's happening in terms of the operating system space, where we denied them access to Android, and they're like, okay, we'll make our own system. Denied them access to Microsoft Windows, like, okay, we'll make our own system. These things are small now. Let's wait a decade or two. Let's see where that's at. Right, like those things, we are making rivals for ourselves. In terms of chip making, they are making strides in that space as well, for their own lithography, where they were completely fair, but they were completely dependent on Western technologies previously. Now they're making their own. These is all thanks to Donald Trump and Biden in terms of the chips denial, right? But yeah, like this is a disastrous policy if you want America to be dominant, right? If you want Lactoid's plan of keeping everyone reliant on us, well, then banning them from our services is not a good way of doing that. Just putting it out there.
I'm okay with banning some services are like big rivals, but Cuba to me seems like a potential satellite.
Well, those big rivals are the ones who can actually like create alternatives, though, who then will compete with us in the marketplace, right?
Yeah, but they don't share our vision.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks for that, buddy. Let's go to our friend Corey. Thanks for being here, friend.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here. Grateful to be invited. Yeah, I don't think the United States is getting Greenland anytime soon. But like, there might be a price. But I think you heavily underestimate how many people don't want to be American. And that, surprise, surprise, other countries are proud of the countries that they inhabit. So, I know that's in the news to Lactoid.
But Lactoid, you already got your retort here, right? Even Corey had a price, 10 million, right?
I said 10 to 100 million. Yeah, if I was
living I don't want to pay 100 million for every Canadian. That's not worth it.
Especially someone like me. Right?
We also can't afford that. 100 million for every Canadian.
I haven't done the math. 40 million Canadians. Let's say it's 10 million each. Yeah, that's a pretty hefty price tag. I haven't done that.
It's probably like multiple times over the world output.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or I mean, like in terms of Greenlanders, though, right? Like you're saying that they don't want to be part of us, but there's a price, right? At some point, people are like, "Fuck this place, I'm going to the beach."
Yeah, but Lactoid himself said there's a price that he'll do pretty much anything, right? As in,
yeah,
exactly.
Actually,
yeah, I'd be agreed. Yeah, there's a price for anything. Yeah, but thanks so much. Let's go. We'll save Gibbs for last, of course. The best, right? But we'll go to our friend Ali.
Yeah. Thanks for having me as always, boys. Thanks for arguing with me. Mondays are my favorite night. I look forward to this. Yeah, no, I don't think America should take Greenland. I mean, if you want to buy it, sure. I don't think anyone's really gonna settle. I don't think Denmark is gonna just be cool with it. I don't know what Denmark can really do about it, right? I don't know if we're gonna go to war, but it just doesn't. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. But yeah, fuck it. Trump will do whatever he wants. Forever God King Trump. So hope you guys are ready for that. I hope you guys expect that. I just want to highlight that Jake Lang got his ass beat and dragged like a dog this week, and I just cheered. That's what made me proud to be an American this week.
I don't know who. Can you inform me who that
He's
is?
that conservative that got beaten up in the ice fights that Lacto was talking about.
Yeah, he was walking around hitting the Sig Hail, right? And then afterwards,
was he?
He was hitting that. But then while the crowd was surrounding, he was like, please, his hands were doing a different motion during that time. I'm just
he might have just been copying Elon, right?
They dragged him into the crowd and then beat him up. Yeah.
As he deserved. God bless America. That made me to be proud to be. Mind you, the people that saved him, a Muslim and a black man, just poetry in motion. Okay, so yeah, fuck Jake Lang, got what he deserved. Hopefully he gets more of it. God bless America.
I'll never cry for a Nazi getting punched in the fucking face. If that's the case, it sounds like exactly what I said, Lactoid, at the very start of this. It sounds like he was agitating, and then guys asked me. Now, I don't support people beating others up for political differences. Nazis might be exception, but I generally don't support that idea. But it sounds like he came there specifically to agitate. What a surprise!
That's all he does. He goes to Muslim neighborhoods with Quran in a pig's head, talking about he wants to deport all Muslims. Hey man, listen, you get what you
catch
get.
An ass whooping eventually. You're going to catch an ass whooping, and that's like what happened here. Thank you for that report. Let's go to and finally, last but not least, our good friend Gibbs. Let us have it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always enjoy coming on here. Find me everywhere as Admiral Gibbs. By God, listen, Lactoid's right. I would love if we were the whole world, but it's not realistic to get the whole world overnight. So we got to start somewhere. Greenland, we need that. I don't care how we get it. It's coming home to Papa. Venezuela, you know what? We should just keep that too. I don't think we should give it back. He said that he's going to be president of Venezuela. Might as well be. You know what else we should get? Panama. That should be our next bitch. Cuba. You know what? Everywhere on this side of the hemisphere, you're on notice. Either sign up and get on board or get a whooping, and we're taking it anyway. Like, God damn it, it's called manifest destiny. And if we're not going to rule the world, we, by God, or we're going to rule half the world. And you know what? If you don't like that, go live somewhere else. Like, I don't fucking know, Swaziland or some shit. I don't give a shit. Somewhere where they're not going to expand and they barely have the internet that we as America invented. And if you want to bitch about it, you can go bitch over there, because I'm tired of y'all's pussy ass bullshit. All these people's lives have been better every time we've captured a country and took their land. And guess what? We need to do it again and again and again. And you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready for $1.50 gas. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm ready for the new phones that we're going to get from all this lithium we're going to find out there in Greenland. And by God, I'm ready to be taking some money from those other countries when they ship it through there, and then us not have to pay income tax. Lord, I see the future, and it looks green. That's all I got to say.
50-year mortgages. The fuck out of here.
I'm going.
Gibbs, you gonna buy that Trump phone, or you already bought it? Pre-ordered?
Trump phone? No, I don't have the Trump phone.
Why not?
It wasn't cool enough. You gotta have the cool phone.
It was bullshit. But
you got the merch, but not the phone.
Hey, listen, but it's not his merch. It's me merch.
I'm going to raid our old friend, All Relevant, who happens to be streaming right now. A black man, right? Who, as he has made clear, Lactoid, that he would like to deport Greenland for nefarious purposes.
I did not say deport.
encourage outgoing
if
immigration.
You wanted the reparate, look, I'm just saying, there's nothing in this world for free.
All right, all of you guys go to our friend All Relevant. Thank you all for being here. This is great. But yeah, that's it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Peace.
Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty, guys, we're gonna go ahead and raid on out into non-fun. Raid non-fun 420. Give him our love, and I will catch you guys on the flip. Peace. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.
as it's reversing and rotating towards him, initiating a 3-point turn, apparently to leave.
Yo, Lactoid, thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. Hell yeah. You guys don't know who Lactoid is. I'm assuming